right. Welcome to a collaboration between Pensare Basketball and Basketball Zone. I'm joined by Leo Bias here live from the game. Tell me how was that loss? How them onions taste?
Well, they're 1-1 for the season, so we split this year. It's not a bad thing, I guess. But overall, the game, from the Kings' perspective, like if you're a Kings fan, you hated it. One of the worst games of the season by far. Sabonis had 9 turnovers. If you're a Raptors fan, you loved it. It was steady all night long. It was balanced. Even after all this drama, I was up and close watching OG warm up, watching Siakam warm up. Obviously, we posted that on our Instagram and stuff like that. And I was telling you throughout the game, I felt like, especially early, OG was a little bit disengaged, but his defense was very steady and he was phenomenal on that end of the night. But, there's a lot of observations that I saw, body language, stuff like that. But just a bad night if you're a Kings fan. They did not light the beam. Y'all cannot really, see how cool that is to light a beam. But
That's catching on, man. Like you guys winning is catching on with other fan bases. I'm hearing light the beam among Hawks fans and Raptor fans. It's kind of cool. It's really caught on. Tell me, were you surprised that OG Anunoby didn't come back in the fourth quarter?
um, a little bit, just because there's a ton of Raptors media here and kind of talking to a few of them and more like in a group type of setting with other Kings reporters and talking
Mm-hmm.
about OG and potential trades and them asking us like what the Kings have to offer and just going kind of back and forth. But who knows? Maybe there's something in the works right now that we don't know about. That when stuff like that happens, they're trying to work out a deal. Like if you remember the
Mm-hmm.
whole Harrison Barnes trade from the Mavericks to the Kings, he got traded during the game, and they literally had to tell him to go sit down. That was one of the most embarrassing things ever. Obviously, it didn't happen tonight for OG, but it could mean something like that. Or maybe Nick Nurse was like, the game's over. We got this in the bag.
Why
He was
risk it?
confident. Why risk it? He was questionable going into the game. OG was steady, man. I was impressed defensively. And before the game, what I was impressed by the most, watching up I was like a foot away from him, was his mechanics. I know he's struggling shooting the ball this year, but his mechanics are so good. They they improved a lot from his rookie year till now. And I just don't I do understand why, but his mechanics are so flawless that that shot should be going in a lot more. But then we talk about shot quality and just this offense again. His offense was solid tonight, but throughout the entire season, his shot quality has not been good. He's fifth in usage rate on this team. That's why he's upset, and he feels like he can be in a better situation. Obviously, I agree in how he feels, but I was impressed with how he shoots the ball and how consistent it is. So
What'd you think was okay, so overall I think this is about one of the best efforts that I've seen from the Raptors all around. I am reminded of two early videos that I made during the off season. Two of them which look pretty foolish right now. Number one, I said Precious Achiuwa is the X factor for this team. The second video that I made was that the Raptors could be contenders based on their length, their size, their defensive switchability, and on the growth of Scottie Barnes. Tonight, it felt like this is, I mean, just for context to people who don't watch the Kings, this is a team where over the last month, I believe their offensive rating is 125. This is like one of the smoothest, most like hitch-free offenses in the NBA. They shoot like crazy lights out. There's lots of movement. The offensive principles, it's beautiful basketball. Tonight it didn't look really beautiful. What did the Raptors do that you think like really suffocated the Kings?
I just felt like their length really bothered Sabonis. it, it bothered Fox when he would drive. The Raptors did a great job in using that lane to really change angles for
Mm-hmm.
the for Sabonis, especially because he had 9 turnovers, which is not very common for a guy like that who was a walking triple double. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal all season long. So to see them really bring a hard double sometimes a soft double, it would confuse him. And the Raptors are able to do that because they're so good when it comes to switching, and they
Mm-hmm.
have the length and the versatility that's not something that Sabonis sees every single night. So that really bothered him, and just the physicality that the Raptors play with this, which is something that I haven't seen in about 3 weeks now. Obviously, lots of drama, boiling in Toronto, but if this is the Raptors moving forward, then they'll be fine in terms of playing. But they don't play like this every night. And the Kings don't play like this every night either. So it's a little bit somewhere in the middle. Just take this game with a grain of salt. You're not going to see Sabonis struggle like that again. It's he's an All NBA player this year. But props to that defense for sure, though.
I think on the other end, the defense for the Kings
Was
was pretty
non-existent.
abysmal, right?
Yeah.
Davion Mitchell really came in and he provided something like resistance. I think that his plus minus, I don't like to look at plus minus on a game by game basis, but I think he was the one consistent plus for the Raptors. But I think at one point I messaged you and it was Fox negative 28, Davion plus 12.
Hmm.
That's a differential of 40. That's a 40-point swing between a player and his backup. That's pretty incredible. Um, let's look at the team stats here really quickly. We got, I mean, the Raptors take 20, like, wow, like 24 more shots than the Kings. They make 13 more. They barely shoot better from the field, right? It's 50% versus 48%. They shoot worse from three, right? They still give up 40 plus percent from three to the Kings, right? But it's the rebounds. And I mean, it's not like you guys even got killed on the rebounds. It was really the turnovers. It was the turnovers that absolutely did you in, almost a 2-1 turnover advantage for the Raptors, just getting steals after steals. And a lot of it came against Sabonis. There is a lot to be said about going up against size and length. I think that it disrupts teams. Teams are not used to it, right? We talk about how the Orlando Magic, I believe the Orlando Magic are 3-0 against the
Hmm.
Boston Celtics this year, right? Part of it is just length is it throws you off your rhythm. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be around a team that's this big. And when the Raptors are connected, I mean, to all the people who say like, "Oh, Fred VanVleet is like the biggest weak link," he may be one of the weaker links. But when he's playing like he did tonight, where he's digging down in the post, providing help, swiping, I mean, he felt huge today to me. I know earlier in the game you said that he was kind of giving up a lot on defense, but talking second quarter onward, it felt like
Yeah.
if the ball came anywhere near him, it was gonna get swiped. He was digging down. He has really good hands, and I think this is the type of effort the Raptors have to play with. I think the question is this type of effort sustainable? Because the truth is that there are a lot of teams that can play this hard and probably surprise a few teams, right? The issue is at the end of the day, in the playoffs, everyone plays this hard. And then you get exposed, right? So did the Raptors just pick up a meaningless win? Or is this the start of something encouraging? I mean, you've seen a lot of Raptor games. Does this feel like materially like this could be the shift of something or the start of something where the Raptors can rally off, 4, 5 wins on this road trip, and suddenly we're sitting like closer to 500, and suddenly all this trade stuff maybe isn't as relevant? Or does this just feel like the Sacramento Kings just really, really underestimated how difficult this game was going to be?
The Kings underestimated the Raptors. I don't think they took into account how long they are. They saw them earlier in the year with no OG. That was a big difference. I told you that when, after the Kings won, I felt like
Hmm.
they just don't play well against the Raptors on their home court. It's been like that for a few years now. But in terms of the Raptors, it's just hard to say where they're at because I've never seen this much drama surrounded such a good organization like the Raptors. That's really well ran. But if there's
Hmm.
something that can, I guess, block the noise, it's definitely playing hard, just like they did last year. I think it was somebody that commented on my stream from the other game, and they said, "Correct me if I'm wrong, Leo. You keep talking about how good OG is, how good the Rap, how many good players they have. Why are they losing?" Obviously, I didn't get a chance to answer that, and last year I feel like their defense was a lot better, a lot more consistent, and then their offense is just injuries along with their offense just took a huge pile of crap this season. But can they continue to stay balanced? Fred Van Vliet finished the game with what do you finish? It was 17 points, and as you said, second quarter on, he was more engaged. First quarter, I felt like he was easily getting beat by, blown by, but second quarter on, Nick Nurse says something like, "Hey, bro, like you got to step it up. You have to up your trade value." So I felt like he did that.
I mean, we will definitely get into that, right? We'll get into the some of the stuff because for the last 2 3 days I've been pretty quiet about some of the stuff that came out about OG Anunoby demanding a
Mm-hmm.
trade, Fred Van Vliet firing his agent, the CEO of MLSE stepping down. A lot to discuss on the back end of it. Um, First, let's look at some performances, and this is probably the longest a Pensare Basketball Live has ever gone without mentioning Scottie Barnes. How did you think about it? What did you think of his game tonight? Because you know what, there was a poise and maturity that he played with tonight. It didn't really blow me away on the box score, but man, it felt like he really did have like that he had a plan going into this game. It felt like that he was going to do it one way. I think at one point I looked, he had 5 shot attempts and Pascal had 20. So it was clearly like that was the directive and that's the way they were going to go with this tonight. And it didn't really matter who was efficient, but consistently through much of the game when the Raptors were blowing it open, two key stretches, second quarter and I believe third quarter or early fourth quarter, it was early fourth quarter, so end of third, early fourth, and then the second quarter where it was Scotty first in the unit with OG and Precious Boucher, etc. I think it was Juancho in that lineup, and then the second time instead of OG it was Gary. And in both cases, I think that those both those lineups had some separation. They created some separation, or they maintained the lead, or they extended the lead. So, what did Point Scotty show you tonight? You've seen him live quite a few times. You and I have both like studied him back to Florida State and Montverde. So, what did you see in the evolution of Scotty as a point guard tonight?
I love what I saw from the offense tonight. They really ran the offense through Scotty. He only took 8 shots, 11 assists, right? 7 points. He was a plus 22. But it was, as you said, his maturity to really find the open man. At least they would throw him the ball, in the paint. What he wants to do is just like Sabonis. He's not ultra aggressive, which sometimes I knock Sabonis for that. Like tonight, there were so many moments where he could have just attacked and he didn't. He was trying to make the pass, but the length of the defense was way too much for him. But tonight, Scottie Barnes played under control. He only had one turnover, which again he played under control. He played with a
Given
sense
some
of
of the dimes that he threw to have only
right,
one turnover, like there was like some serious ones, right? Like, and it's incredible to me. Like, if he played on a team with slightly better shooters, I think he would be averaging close to like 8 to 9 assists per game. It's just crazy
easy,
some of the stuff he's throwing.
easy. He would easily be averaging 8 to 9 assists a game. But as I was saying, he felt under control. I liked how they would again throw him the ball in the paint. It would go back out. He would find Gary Trent early. I think it was one of the first few plays of the game where I broke it down on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
He did early work in the paint. He grabbed the offensive rebound and he threw it backwards to Gary Trent for the
Yep.
three. Just a heads up play, man. Like the kid sees it all on the court. He's a basketball savant in terms of just having a
Mm-hmm.
great feel. So I was impressed from that aspect. Again, if I'm being nitpicky, he had a few ones where I wish he would have passed out, right? Where I
Mm-hmm.
felt like OG wasn't involved as much. I mean, OG took 9 shots as well. Siakam took 24, VanVleet took 16, and Gary took 15. So a lot of
Yeah.
that was Scottie allowing those guys to shoot the ball and getting them open shots. So good job in terms of Scottie. Last year, Scottie really impressed me. Like rookie Scottie in Sacramento last year, I was really impressed.
Yeah, apologies to anyone. I was flashing box scores and I flashed the New York game one instead of this one, but I just corrected it. Um, yeah, I think this was just a concerted team effort. Now, I spent quite a bit of the last few days. You check out my Instagram stuff, talking about the offensive and defensive impact that Precious Achiuwa has on this team, and it's pretty incredible. This team, despite being under 500 right now, just moved to one game over 500 with Precious Achiuwa back. They're now 13 and 12. Literally every single thing about this team gets better with him than without him. They score more points, they get more
Yeah.
rebounds, they shoot higher from the field, they win more games, they rebound more, they block more, they steal more. It's literally everything. It's kind of the inverse of Fred, where almost every single thing gets worse when he plays versus doesn't play. That's, yeah, me taking a bit of a dig at Fred, but in all honesty, it's true. This is just the numbers. What did you see from him tonight? Because a lot of fans and probably myself, definitely myself included, would argue that in terms of potential, there isn't really a player on this team that has better defensive potential than Precious Achiuwa.
I was impressed with the shot making. Like, if I'm being honest, I mean, he had some shots in the corner there where he was like talking to me, you know what? Like, he was high fiving people in the crowd. I was like, okay, Precious. How sustainable is that? I don't know. I feel like the Raptors had a lot of shots tonight, and they had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
shots to take, but their their zone defense would. And I'm glad that Nick Nurse. I'm not glad because the Kings lost, but they should be going zone, going back to man, like switching it up to where it confuses some teams, and the Kings couldn't, for the life of them, could not break that damn zone. Um, they didn't know what to do with it, especially when the Raptors are so long, man. So great adjustment there by Nick Nurse. I feel like I haven't said that
Mm-hmm.
in a while because I've
Yeah.
been very critical of Nick Nurse all season. I think I've been very aggressive towards him more than
Right.
you have, but yeah, I felt like that was something that the Raptors have needed all season long. Unfortunately, they did it tonight and they executed it very well against a second best offense in basketball. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if we're being honest, or third at worst,
Right.
but it was definitely impressive. And to your point, Precious Achua has so much versatility on the end of the floor, man. Like, he's a guy that if y'all gonna sell off, he's a guy that I would love to have as a backup five
Mm-hmm. I think he would be your starting five, to be honest, and he should
over
be.
over Sabonis.
No, 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 no. You or you start him at four or
Oh,
something,
okay,
dude.
okay. I'm like,
He's
I'm
so
about to say over
freaking.
Sabonis.
No, he's
Okay,
so good. He and look, if he puts it together, and he put in so much work this offseason, it didn't really come together for him yet. But Precious Achiuwa was my X factor going into this season, and that's crazy because I was expecting huge growth from Scottie, but what Precious can do for this team in terms of rim protection is such a crazy thing. He is basically like, I mean, it's not quite Dwight Howard, but it's bits and pieces of what Dwight Howard did for the Magic in terms of just dominating the offensive glass, shutting down areas, making people less efficient, making people think, around the paint. The Raptors have been one of the worst defenses for a month now, consistently since Siakam's come back. They've been really bad, and they're just starting to pick it up again with Achiuwa back in the lineup. Again, they have versatile defenders. They have a lot of switchable defenders. What they don't
Boucher
have,
was amazing tonight. I felt
him
like
too.
multiple Raptor players
Yeah.
were auditioning for the Kings tonight. Like, I really do.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Boucher was really good tonight, and there's something to be said about like certain guys playing together really well. And I think Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa really play well together. We do have Tamberlin and Coach Mo on here. They're ready to call in. If any Kings fans or Raptor fans want to call in, I'm just gonna put the we're gonna put the link in the description right here. You just click on it, you dial in. It's really uncomplicated. You just have to be on your phone or laptop, whatever. Just make sure you're in a relatively quiet place. Okay, first up, let's quickly bring on Coach Mo, and then we'll bring on Tamberlin. Tamberlin, I apologize. Just hang tight. Coach Mo, what up?
Hey guys,
What's
How's it
up, bro?
going?
good. I think we were all surprised at how well today went. Um, it could be like sometimes a team has a bad game. I think that's partly what happened with the Kings. I thought the
Hmm.
effort with the Raptors was really good, and I thought it was sustained because the offense was really good, which fueled their defense and it got them. It built confidence. But one thing I wanted to talk about was that third quarter. We played really well. We built a nice lead. I just long term, if nothing happens in the trade deadline, do you see Fred, Pascal, and Scottie coexisting on the
No.
court at the same time? Because Scottie was Magic Johnson in the second quarter, and in the third quarter he was Reggie Evans. It's just like he doesn't touch the ball. He's the fifth guy. Gary and OG at least space the floor. So and they're not really primary ball handlers. So it them being ignored a bit is kind of normal-ish. I just think today it worked. Today the my turn, your turn, Fred and Pascal are the only ones to touch the ball and they dominate. Today it worked. So kudos to them.
I mean, it didn't
Long
really
term,
work. I mean, it was really the defense
yeah,
that shut
I
it
know.
down,
Today,
right? I mean,
today
the
it worked box
Kings,
score wise. Today it
if you
worked box score wise. But
let's put it this way, if you give up a normal outing to the Kings, if you don't do this on defense, and defense is a team thing, it's
mhm,
connected, right? If Fred and Pascal dialed in on defense, but they didn't do it alone, right? It was OG, it was Scotty. Scotty was incredible in defense tonight. Super engaged, Precious, Chris Boucher, Juancho, like everyone who played guarded their tails off today, crashed the glass, recovered. I mean, Pascal Siakam dove to the ground, like dove to the floor, and the game was like a 20-point blowout in the fourth quarter. Is incredible the level of focus and intensity that the Raptors played with tonight. You don't do that. I don't think this offense carries you to a win against this team. I'm being really honest. There's no
yeah,
way, right? It wasn't that efficient. It was more efficient than it usually is. Still shot 30% from three, man. You are not going to beat a team shooting 40% from three if you shoot 30% from three on like 90% of nights. Forget beating. I'm talking like whooped. They mollywopped this team. Like this was a blowout win from wire to wire to a team that was 44, like 40% from three.
yeah,
When do you see that? Right? That's hard. That's hard to do. Right?
yeah. And the shot. I'm not even a guy who looks at shot distribution as much, but it was like no one else really touched the ball the entire. Like Barnes was just out there, and it was like cardio and defense from the 12-minute mark to the 3-minute mark, and it's like long term. What are we doing here?
Well,
If
I mean, look,
because I don't, you know what I
there
mean?
seems to be a bit of a, an understanding, right? I mean, if you can, I mean, Leo, you were watching the bench, right? The Raptors bench. Did this team look like super connected or they look kind of disconnected?
Um, I don't feel like they're connected, but tonight because they were anytime you're winning,
Yeah,
especially like on the court, you're not gonna show whatever disgruntledness that you've been showing in
Right.
the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I
Right.
felt like before the game, honestly, like, and I don't want to, be like, oh, Leo said this. Like, I felt like OG just didn't want to be here. If I'm being honest with you, like in that video, like I have a video that I didn't post for that exact reason, where he just looked like disengaged, like he just didn't want to be here. Period.
Hmm. Well, I mean, look, I don't blame the guy. First of all, he's a clutch client, right? And I guess we'll get into this more with Tamberlin, for sure when we talk about the OG rumors and all that stuff. And I mean, like, I'm not even mad at the guy. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I don't blame him because you know what? He came into this season asking for a bigger role. He's guarded his tail out on defense. He's, at least for much of when Siakam was out, there was a lot of buzz about, hey, maybe he's an all-star this year. He might be like one of those guys to get snubbed for all-star. And suddenly you look at his usage and he's fifth on his own team.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me. But at the same time, it's not that crazy when you consider the guys ahead of him. You're like, who are you bumping, right? Obviously, you and I could probably say, yeah, well, obviously Fred. Lower Pascal's usage, make it a more egalitarian team, kind of like those Al Horford Atlanta Hawks, where kind of everybody eats and some guy, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We've tried it. We've seen it. It's not going to happen. These are all, like, four guys with dollar signs in their eyes. Four guys.
Yeah, but
right?
if you're OG, you're like, okay, Pascal took 24 shots to get 26 points. Fred took 16 shots to get 17 points. Gary took 15 shots to get 16 points. He's like, I can do that. I can do that.
That's fair. But like, sureness on offense is also a thing. And I will say that while there have been times earlier in the year where OG looked like he was really starting to pick it up offensively, and there was like encouraging moments where there was a little bit more fluidity on some of those drives, and there was like some even like success in the post-ups. Now I'm being really honest, like, I feel a little bit more sure with Gary having the ball, just in terms from like a turnover perspective. Again, like, I love OG. I think he's like, if you're talking asset to asset, the defense swings it for OG, but OG, the offensive fluidity, creativity, the proneness to turnovers, he's evolving. But at some point, like, you do have to understand, this isn't like the guy's third year or second year. This is his sixth year.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, he may still evolve later. He may still develop that fluidity. But at this point, like, Gary's 24 years old, and he's already doing things that OG couldn't even dream of in terms of like offensive package. Again,
but
OG's
we saw
more
that fluidity though when everybody was injured though. When OG was
Exactly.
putting up
but I mean,
25 points.
No, I agree with you. And if you're going to run an offense around OG, because he's a better shooter than any of these guys. Like, I don't care what anyone says, like, on a healthy season, when he's not got any risk issues, this guy probably shoot 38, 39% and guard the shit out of the ball and take the toughest matchup on every single night. He's a terribly valuable asset. But as an isolation scorer, as a playmaker, as a guy who's going to be like ultra high usage, I'm not sure I'm there with him. Whereas, like, hey, 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago even, I could sell myself into, okay, maybe he becomes Kawhi Light. Maybe that's kind of where he's going with his career. Right now, it doesn't feel like Kawhi Light. It feels like maybe Ron Artest, that type of thing. And look, Ron Artest could give you 22 points on any given night. I mean, he had some huge explosions. In fact, I believe it was the Sacramento Kings where that complete career resurgence, where he was pretty much done with basketball. And then your coach was just like, all right, I want you to start. I want you to carry us. And he carried you guys to the playoffs. Ron Artest is a hell of a player, meta world peace. But I don't think you're winning a championship with him as one of your top two options. Maybe you could have. Maybe you could argue, like, I'm torn on it. But it's like, if I have to compare the package, the total package of Siakam's isolation scoring and playmaking and shot making, etc., versus OG's, I have to give the edge to Siakam. I have to give the edge to Barnes as a playmaker, and I have to give the edge to Gary as a playmaking option. So maybe you trade Fred VanVleet and OG gets fourth option, but it doesn't seem like he's happy with fourth option either.
I think if you trade Fred, everyone touches the ball more.
No, that's fair, and I think Scottie would happily defer to OG and probably, like, I don't, like, people really don't understand Scottie Barnes. Like, I think this guy would be very happy with 12 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. I think he would be really happy playing that way until his scoring develops more. This is not a guy who's going to go out and jack 20 shots a game, and if OG needs the ball, he'll happily give it to him. The issue is that it's really difficult, because basketball is a game of rhythm. It's really difficult to get your rhythm with a guy who consistently misses you wide open in the post, or throws bad passes to you. There was a stat that we were going over on the weekend about points per possession out of scoring touches and passes. And the passes thing threw people for a loop, because people started getting like Whoa, 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 whoa. Fred's not that bad as an isolation scorer because he takes so many threes and his shot quality is so great. But it's actually the quality of his passing that people are shooting so poorly off of. And that's why his isolation play has typically resulted in such poor offense for the Raptors. Um, yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, Mo, for coming
Yep.
on. You have any final thoughts?
Appreciate
Yeah, I think I just don't think Scotty and Fred can coexist long term because I don't
Yeah.
think Fred will allow it to happen. I just don't think it will happen, and I
Yeah.
just don't see how Barnes can be on the court for 9 minutes and not touch the ball. I just don't see.
I mean, he
I'm
touched the
thinking
ball,
long
right?
term. Long. I mean, off a rebound, sure. I mean, he touched it physically, but did he do anything with it? It's like long term. What are we doing if we keep him?
Look, I don't speak for Scotty, but I'll tell you this much. He'll take a 20-point game. I know what you're saying. I totally do.
I'm not
Trust
saying
me.
he wants to shoot, but
Yeah. You're saying he wants to play make. He wants to like
yes,
initiate the
or at least
totally.
share the duties.
But see, here's the thing. The only thing that's really pissing Scotty off right now, and I don't speak for Scotty, I'm not his keeper, I'm not like his brother or his best friend, but I am telling you that the only thing that's really bothering him right now is not his role on offense. It's specifically that whatever the shit is happening, he doesn't agree with how the team is playing and they're losing. If he didn't agree with how they were playing last year either, by the way. There's a lot of boneheaded isolation plays last year where he was like looking really frustrated. He was like, gesturing, but they were winning. He doesn't care as long as you're
Yeah.
winning. But if you're not winning and you're playing garbage basketball, he will throw a fit, and that's why when he was drafted, I remember saying the Raptors are never going to miss the playoffs again as long as this guy's on the team because he's not going to let them, right? I also said that if a really terrible team had drafted Scottie Barnes and they insisted on losing, that he would probably go to jail because he'd kill someone, including his coaches. He doesn't do losing, man. He just doesn't do losing. Some guys, they do losing. They're okay with losing. If team
Yeah.
starts to lose, they're just like, oh well, next year,
Yeah.
right? The one thing I gathered from that interview that I did with Brian was there was no quit on this season. And that's when I really shifted my focus and I was like, oh man, like they're still trying to turn this shit around. It's not even the Raptors, it's Scotty. Like Scotty didn't just come out of the season and be like, okay, well, I didn't get my 23, 24 points per game. I'm not going to be an all-star. I'm going to miss on my goals. Fuck it. Let me just start again next summer. No, it was like, wait a second, there's 3 months left.
I
you know?
want to I want to give a shout out to Nick Nurse. At least he at least figured out recently to have him actually run the bench unit without Fred and Pascal on the court.
Who's
At
been calling
least
for it all year?
you can
All
you,
year.
you can find pockets where he's developing as a primary playmaker. At least you're finding it instead of
Absolutely.
hiding him
Yeah.
in with the other two guys.
Hey man, he's running
All right, Mo.
the Raptors 905 bench unit, right? So anyway, all right, Mo, thanks a lot, man.
I just want to go back and like do a film session on OG when everybody was out and he was having these explosion of like 25, 26 points, just to show that my eyes saw fluidity offensively, one-on-one, attacking the rack. Like he was so good.
He's
He showed me
effective.
those
He's not
flashes.
fluid. He's effective. He's still upright. He still loses his balance every now and again. But I will agree with you. It looked like he had turned a corner, and now it seems like he's gone right back. But one of the things that Chris Boucher said, we're going to get to Tamberlin in 12 seconds here. One of the things that Chris Boucher really said was sometimes you just need to find your place in the offense, right? You need to understand your role, where you place this. That's something that Scotty struggled with all year. It's something that Chris Boucher has struggled with. It's something that Precious Achiuwa struggled with. Quite frankly, in my opinion, when you have bad leadership, there isn't a lot of communication about what guys are supposed to be doing, whether that's on Nurse, whether that's on Siakam, whether that's on Fred VanVleet. It doesn't really matter. The end point is a lot of guys, including OG, have at times struggled to find their place in this offense. Like, should I be the post up guy here? You can't have everybody running to the same fucking spot on the floor. And if there's no like real structure on offense where it's clear, like I know that this guy's going to set a screen and that Herter is going to be running around. Like I know that action is not being created. It's not the exact same action for Keegan Murray. There is some sort of structure within the Kings offense, which allows me to say that's Keegan's role. That's Herter's role. That's Malik Monk's role, or like it feels like that's Fox's role. I don't see Keegan trying to be Fox, and I don't see Fox trying to be Keegan. So that importance, it's how basketball's always been played, right?
That's
Always
why
been
OG
played
would
that
be
way.
great with the Kings because everybody touches the ball here, right? tonight was,
Everybody
was
wants
the
to play that way
exception.
too. Everybody
Yeah,
wants to play that way too.
everybody wants to play that way. To your point, it's just a fun way to play basketball. I
It
think
totally is.
somebody said Andreas Dangler. Can we get my assessment on Keegan so far? I thought he had a great start. He had a rough few months, and as of late, he's been a killer. I mean, we have seen the improvement from just attacking closeouts a lot better, getting to his mid-range shot, and tonight Raptor fans saw how incredible of a shooter that guy is. Like, that guy is a bona fide sniper. Like, he is that good of a shooter, bro. He's been shooting damn near 50% for a while now.
Well, let's bring on someone who definitely agrees with you on that. Hey, Tamberlin, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Sorry,
good.
Leo. I
How are
honestly
you?
thought this was going to be a Kings win. I've been watching so many Kings games lately. Can I just remind everyone that the Kings got Kevin Huter for nothing? Like, what
That's
was
not
it?
true.
Mo
They gave a
Mo
future
Harkless,
first.
Justin Holiday, and a protected first round pick.
That's not nothing.
Well, not much.
But I was a really
Like
big
Raps
fan
should,
of that move. I was a really big fan of that move. I remember telling Leo right away, I'm like, this is going to be a really good move for you guys.
man, he's so good, and I love Keegan. Keegan, I think he plays so within himself. Like he's so much wiser than the normal rookie, you know?
He is
How
22.
about that baseline pass from Scottie out to Chris Boucher in the first? Oh my God, what a pass. Reminded me of Manu Ginobili under the basket when he made that pass
He,
across court. But this one was out to the top of the arc. Oh my God, what a pass. Crazy.
can I just say that it's such a relief to hear someone comparing Scottie Barnes to Manu Ginobili, because earlier today I read a post. You know where I'm going with this, right? I read
Yeah.
a post from Malachi Flynn's dad comparing him to Dennis freaking Rodman.
Yeah, I saw that shit. Like, whatever.
Bro, he just compared OG to Charles Oakley, and what is going on here, man? Like, what
I
game
don't
are you
know.
watching? Next
And
up,
Leo,
Shaquille O'Neal, the future Shaq. Who else? Chris
did you
Boucher. I
see the
feel like
fight I got
Chris,
in with the guy that was trolling Kevin Garnett, who was calling Scotty a real one? And this guy was saying he's a role player at best on Twitter. I think he liked the tweet that I sent him back. I was pissed. This guy was calling Scotty a role player who's never going to be anything. And Kevin Garnett had said, this kid is really special. Like, he's an OG. And someone didn't understand the term OG. They thought they were comparing him to Anunoby. And I was like, no, OG, like old school, like a special guy or whatever. Anyway, this guy and I got
original
into it on
gangster.
Twitter.
It's original
Yeah.
gangster.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
honestly,
This guy
like the
and I got
reason,
into it
and
on
I'll tell
Twitter.
you, like it's funny because I wasn't like a really huge KG guy. I wasn't. I had some issues with him in 2004. But I will tell you that one of the things that when I saw Scotty play in high school, the first thing I thought was, he plays the same intensity that Kevin Garnett played with. It's
Yeah.
that same fight. It's that same
Like
fire. It's
recognizes
that
like,
dog.
yeah,
And so it was just kind of like there was an over under in my head of like, when is Kevin Garnett going to make a public declaration in support of Scottie
yeah.
Barnes? It happened in his second year. I'm not surprised that he identifies with him. They have a lot in common. Yeah, like a crazy amount in common.
Didn't tonight was like what I expected the Raptors to come out with at the beginning of the season. The ball movement, the lockdown defense. It was probably the first time I can think of all season, and ironically enough, with probably the fastest guard other than Jaw in the league. And
Mm.
there was no straight line drives. Like Fred's, I give him a hard time, but he played really good tonight on defense, and we got to give him credit when he plays well like that. And Pascal and Fred typically will go into like ISO mode at least for a quarter or half a quarter, 5-10 minutes a game. And that's when we lost a lot of these games. And they didn't do that tonight. Something else I looked up, if I can find it here. Yeah. The biggest difference between this season and last season is our clutch time games. Last year, we were 57.8% in the 45 clutch games that they played. They won 26. This year, they're 42.9%. They've only converted on 12 of the 28. So
I mean,
that's one of the big.
That's a really good point. I think the Raptors have outscored their opponent total this year. I think they're up on on net differential, and yet they're what 6 games under, 5 games under 500 right now. So I think that does speak to what you're talking about, which is namely they're pretty bad at closing out close games. They've blown a lot of really close ones. And I think maybe that what speaks to that the most is that even when I think the Raptors were up like 15 points with 3 minutes to go, I'm like, there's still a chance. Like
I
with
know.
most
I
teams,
know.
there shouldn't be a chance. But I'm like, Fred VanVleet, 3 layups, that air ball, and a Pascal Siakam air ball 3, and the Kings are back in it with like three or four hot threes. And, this team has coughed up so many late. I think it's so weird to be a Raptor fan right now because on the one hand, yeah,
No
I'm gonna be
kidding.
honest. Like I was kind of rooting for a loss here. Not even kind of. I was definitely rooting for a
I
loss.
expected a loss, to be honest. In my odds preview, I picked the Kings to win and cover.
Right. Um. Yeah.
I
Because
mean, in the third quarter, I tweeted out, "This is what I expected this team to be," and was all over how great Precious was playing. And then I had to put the caveat in, but let's see what happens in the fourth quarter
Yep.
because they blew in so many games.
And
Leo,
Nick Nurse
they were
tonight,
living.
right? And Nick Nurse tonight outcoached Mike Brown, one of the coaches of the year type of candidate. So shout out to Nick Nurse, man. I know he's
Reminded
capable of it, but he has bugged me this year, man. I'm frustrated with him because I know it's in him, but he just has to adapt, man, and just play to his team's strengths because sometimes I feel like he's stuck in the past.
I think
one
this
hell of a
this
film session, I can tell you that much.
I
Like, I
think
don't know what was
this
going on, but it
yeah.
reminded me of the Magic series when Mark Gasol was living rent free in Nikola Vucevic's head on Domo. But I still think the main factor had a lot more to do with stopping Fox than it did Domo. Well, maybe the combination, but that was critical too.
Um.
I
Yeah.
thought Fox was passive. I thought Fox was passive, but I really thought Domas was extremely passive. But he was confused though because that zone really effed them up for some. The Kings just can't break zones, especially a good one. And tonight this was a good zone where it'd go 3-2, 2-3. It would really confuse them. They'd come out with the out of a timeout, go into it, down the next possession, go man. They're like, oh shit, like what's happening? So kudos
Doesn't make
to
sense
Nick
because
Nurse.
Domo operates in the center of the court, so they should have been able to break the zone easily. The big thing for me was how they played on the glass because they out rebounded them, but they also outscored them 58-42 in the paint. They were 11-4 on offensive glass. You guys,
Sure.
if you remember the other day when I sent you that tweet saying they need one more thing, you need to get a rim protector.
Precious.
Boucher.
No, no,
Oh, you mean the Kings?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was not saying trade. No. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah.
I
No, I
think
sent Leo
I
a thing
think
the other day
Boucher
saying
was
they're
was
this
good for the
close
Kings
because they're
tonight.
playing so well. What's that?
I think Boucher was, giving us
Auditioning.
a auditioning. He was like giving us a little teaser of what he's gonna be as a backup for Sabonis.
They did this last year though when they went on the road. They won 6 of 8 late in the season, and then came back and won 8 of 10. And one of those losses was the last game of the season.
Why don't you guys
So
take a flyer on Mo Bamba? They just made him available.
I mean, I'm not a
I
big
can't
fan, but
defend.
What do you mean he
I'm
can't
not a big
defend?
fan. But
He's an
He's not
elite
a great
shot
defender.
blocker.
Get Jonathan Isaac.
That
that guy I love.
That's who
that
they're
would be
shopping.
it.
I bet money that's who they're. I've been waiting to see why were they not playing him because he was down in the G League and he sat there for a couple of games and then all of a sudden they brought him back.
Well, he finally
But
played and he looked really good. He looks
yeah,
really good.
I was
So
what
shocked.
have you heard about him in the locker room though? I hear he can be a little.
I like him. I think
Yeah,
I like him a
Leo
lot.
and
I
I
he's
mean, he's
both like
very
talented,
him.
religious. He's very religious. So am
really
I. Like,
religious.
I don't have an issue with it. Some people might, but I was looking at his contract on the last show, and next year you can literally get away with like $10 million if you cut him. Like say hypothetically he gets injured again, you can save about $10 million next year if you cut him before January 10th, and then the following year It's like super low. So there's a lot of stuff in this contract where you can get away with it. He has this year and the following two. It's a risk, but it's a risk that you should be willing to take because he's a light, like a Walmart version of OG, in the sense of like he's always hurt. But before he got hurt, I mean that guy was elite defensively. I mean that dude
Oh
was
yeah, he
elite
was a great
defensively.
two-way player.
So
He was just
Honestly,
coming into his own.
like he was doing that at like 21, 22, dude. Like he's
Hmm.
not doing that at 25. Um honestly, there's
So
a
to me,
reason why he went top 5, top 6 in the NBA draft. Like this is a legit dude. And honestly, if he doesn't get injured, I mean, it's very possible the Magic are
defensive player of
way
the
more
year.
competitive.
Yeah.
And
Rob,
possibly
I'm
defensive
dying to
player.
hear what you think about this OG stuff because I'm wondering if it's a lost leader by Masai because they never leak shit. Never. And now all of a sudden Bob McCowan is the guy they're leaking to saying that he wants out. Like,
No, 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 no,
what
no,
the
no, no.
f
But
is that?
okay, so I
Like, are they,
watched
is
that.
he a lost leader so that the phones start ringing from his side so he can say, well, that's not enough. But what do you think about Fred? Or, I
Um,
don't get it because he's Scotty's BFF, no?
yeah,
If
Scotty,
you're building around
Gary.
Barnes, you want to trade away his best friend and keep Fred and Pascal?
I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, though, like it
Although
will
I would
come.
keep Pascal.
It has to come down to OG wanting to be a part of this team as he's currently situated, right? You cannot force a guy to buy into fifth option role, especially when he has agent in his ear saying, "Dude, if you get onto X team, Y team, if you get onto the Pelicans or the Suns or whatever, this is what your numbers are going to look like." Because at the end of the day, there is nothing worse for your contract than being a role player on a bad team, right? Like there are a lot of guys that get super undervalued and
He's
super
not bad
underpaid.
either.
And to be honest, it's like here's the thing. It's one thing to sit there and not get your touches. It's one thing to sit there and not get your wins. But when you don't get your touches and you don't get your wins, and the consequence is you don't get your bag, yeah, you're going to be pretty fucking pissed, right? Especially when the guys who are getting their bag are less efficient from the field than you, are playing worse defense than you, and you just feel like it's not fair. If you want to look down the list of tons of dysfunctional, bad teams that underperformed in NBA history, you can look into it. It's locker room tensions. It's gripes over who's the guy, who's not the guy, who's starting, who's not starting. This kind of shit is almost always present when a team massively underperforms. And relatively speaking, from what I've heard around the NBA, it doesn't feel like other GMs are all that sour on the Raptors core just because they're losing. It seems everyone understands this is a complete opportunity for them to come in and maybe offer like maybe 99 cents or 97 cents on the dollar. But people are not coming in and saying, okay, well, we know you have to trade OG, so here's a first round pick. It's not like that at all. The other thing I'll say is there's two reports. Number one, the report that there's so much to catch up on, right? Number one, the report was that some team offered 3 firsts for OG and Anunoby. Someone I spoke to said nobody benefits more from that report leaking than the Raptors.
Who do you think the team was?
It don't mean it's true, but that's a lot of good leverage for the Raptors,
I mean,
though.
It's a big deal depending on which team it is, though.
it may be true. However, the issue with that is which picks, because you see, like
Yeah.
there's a version of this where, let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example. Detroit unprotected 2023 is worth more than like 4 draft picks right now. Houston
That's my
unprotected
point.
2023 is worth more than maybe 5 2025, 2026, 2027. GMs often like clamor over this idea of like, oh, well, you know, this is a future pick. But once you add in protections, who who the pick belongs to, all the stipulations. There's a lot of picks that will never convey. There's like stipulations written into it where it's like it's top 10 protected. If it doesn't convey, it's top 5
And
protected.
they
If it
get
doesn't
2
convey,
seconds.
it
Yeah.
becomes 2 seconds or some shit like that. So at the end of the day, this is just fool's gold for fans to get like really excited about the future. But these picks are not going to convey. And look, I have been aggressively pro tank for the last, I want to say, a month and a half now. Part of it was I didn't think that this team had stones to move off of Fred and Pascal, the two guys that I pretty aggressively would want off this team. The other thing was I honestly hate no man's land, and I don't trust this team to do the right thing when it comes to playoff time and just play team basketball. I don't want to see this team get bounced to the Atlanta Hawks as Trae Young heats up and
Ugh.
Fred VanVleet shoots 5 for 35 trying to gun for the bag, right? I don't want to see that. I think it's just depressing. I think it's a waste of a season. That being said, the way Scottie's playing right now, the way OG's been playing through parts of the season, the way Precious is playing right now, right? You have a whole bunch of young guys, right, on this team who could really benefit from another, trip to the playoffs. And then who knows? A defensive team like this, one hot shooting series, they could be a prime candidate to upset someone at the top of the East. They've played Cleveland extremely well so far. They've played Boston pretty tight. They've obviously there's a team that they swept. Who did they sweep?
Yeah, they swept the Cavaliers.
They swept the Cavaliers so far. They've killed I think
Knicks.
they've killed the Knicks as well. So if the Knicks are the team that you're battling for the play-in spot, I could definitely see a situation where you could beat the Knicks in a do or die situation. Do I think that Randall is more talented than Siakam? No, I really don't. I think they're pretty even footing, but I think the Raptors have a little bit more to offer and throw at them. So is it worth it to make the playoffs and, downgrade the pick by 6 or 7 picks? Absolutely. I think the difference between 11 and 16 or 11 and 15 is not going to be huge. It's not like the Raptors are going to suddenly surge and be number 1 in the East and get the 29th pick. I mean, worst case scenario, the Raptors are picking 18th, an area that they're very comfortable with in the draft. Honestly, I say best case scenario, worst case scenario, they're probably picking 16th. Best case scenario, they're probably picking 3rd or 4th. Maybe 5th. So yeah, the gap between 5 and 16 in this draft is pretty sizable. But how are you losing enough games to end up with a top 5 pick with this current team? I mean, if you trade Siakam, you trade Fred VanVleet, you're not getting nothing back. You're getting something back. The minute you trade those guys, I'm telling you right now, what's going to happen is Scottie is going to carry this team to 500 basketball.
Yeah.
I know it's going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
Because whoever the fuck is coming back, there's going to be no scouting report on that team and how they play. And Scottie is just really good at instinctively figuring out where guys are on the court and stuff. I tell you right now, they'll reel off 5 straight and the tank will be in the garbage anyway. The only way to really tank aggressively is to trade Siakam for Kevin Love, buy out Kevin Love, and take 4 draft picks or something and then shut down Scottie Barnes for the year. It's just so hard to be as bad as we want to be. And I was doing the math on it. We have so many games left against Houston, Detroit, Charlotte. You're not going to out-tank these teams. So realistically, the cost of losing, you probably pick 8th. The cost of winning, you pick 14th. Is the gap of 7 picks maybe 15th. So is the gap of 5, 6, 7 picks, is that worth missing the playoffs? I mean, from an MLSE perspective, you probably go for 8th, I know Masai said playing for what, I've said playing for what, but at this point, go for it. And the other thing is, you're in a way more...
Except that the year that they weren't in the play.
Look, everyone has expected the Raptors to lose, right? Everyone's expected this team to just pull the plug on the season. That's been the dominating narrative. Now, they go out on the road and they stomp. And I do mean stomp. And I want to avoid saying curb stomp because there are some racial connotations to that word. But stomp a really good team that was rolling.
Yeah.
Do you think
7
that
and 1?
But do you think that every single GM that's currently kind of haggling over that final pick just realized, oh shit, I might actually miss my window to trade for OG Anunoby or Pascal Siakam or Fred VanVleet. I better do this. I think this is just one of those wins that shakes the hemisphere a little bit because of how it happened. It's on the road. It's against a really good team. It's the second win in a row against a pretty good team. I mean, they're not beating Detroit here, where it's like, oh, it's meaningless. They just beat two
Yeah.
pretty decent teams, and this is coming on the heels of like they beat some really good teams in January so far. So if they start reeling 3-4 wins, I mean, there's probably going to be a growing concern among a. I'm worried about which of the competing things are going to win. Is it going to be the Raptors that say, "Oh shit, do we need to stick this out and see what we have here with this team?" Maybe they reel off like a huge second half, like the Boston Celtics did last year, right? Or is this one of those situations where the Raptors absolutely know they have to make a move and they're just kind of waiting and biding their time, and this and winning a few games just increases the leverage?
Do you believe though this rumor that OG wants out and
I
that
do.
out of the blue someone is leaking shit that they don't? I mean, Woj, the only team Woj never knows the draft pick for is the Raptors because they keep everything in house. It just struck me as really strange that this leaked out like that, and to Bob McCowan of all people.
I mean,
Nothing against Bob McCowan. He's just not usually someone who gets all the Raptors news.
yeah. I mean, it's worth considering that this has been bubbling over for a long time. OG is a clutch client, right? Um,
So
Leo,
what,
does
you
the
think Rich
Sacramento have
Paul's
any
in his
clutch
ear?
clients?
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox.
He just switched to clutch not too long ago.
How long ago?
Mm,
A year?
about a month and a half ago.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind.
Is Fred
Um,
gonna sign with Clutch?
Fred, yeah, and I mean, like, there you go. Fred just fired his agent, and
He was with my guy Pedro from I forget the agency, but that was Rashawn Holmes' old agency. He was
mhm.
with Fred, Rashawn. They landed Rashawn that deal. Then Rashawn got rid of him. Now he's with CAA, and then Fred got rid of him. So there's a little
I
bit of
thought it was a
correlation.
PR move.
You think so?
Fred's not happy
Yeah.
with how they kind of
It's
fumbled the
Parlay
bag.
Sports. Parlay
Parlay
is the
Sports, that's
brand.
right. Parlay Sports, and yeah, Mike Brown said he did say that the zone really
Soldier
confused.
T1 says Van Vliet just signed with Clutch. Is that true? Is that verified? I don't think so.
Oh my God.
Might be true.
Kismet.
It might be true.
That'd be pretty funny
I
if I
don't
just
think
guessed that.
so.
I
I
mean,
doubt it.
they have a lot of like I met. Do you guys remember Ray McCollum?
Yeah, I do.
So
Hmm.
Brittany McCollum, his sister, she takes care of Fox now. Like Rich Paul has done a good job of getting like quality people to quote unquote assign them to certain players, and that's why Clutch is growing so fast. So I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie signed with them because they're getting the
Yeah,
job done.
yeah.
I think
Anyway,
it was partially a PR move though, because he needed a scapegoat for what went down recently. And by firing his client, the innuendo was there that it was the agent that was leaking all this stuff that supposedly was leaking. But meanwhile, he was
yeah,
giving interviews to
yeah.
ESPN
JJ
guys that
Redick.
were,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, it was out of the horse's mouth. It wasn't just Doug Smith and other guys here. It was, what's Tim Bontemps did that article, and he
Yeah,
was the one saying, and he's talked about it on Zach Lowe's podcast as well.
yeah.
I think it was partially a PR move.
Anyway, Tim, do you have any final takes? We're gonna move on to the next caller.
Nope,
Any
that's it.
final?
So I'm hyped up. So sorry if I was interrupting a little bit there.
No,
I've
no, no, no.
got a
We're
million
all
things on my head.
I mean, there's so much going on with this team. It would be very, very difficult to even hone in on what's the most important thing right now. But you know what? I'm just playing chess on chess.com and calming my brain down. That's how I'm dealing with this. That's my de-stress move. Okay. See you,
All
Tim.
right,
Have a good night.
see you guys.
Appreciate you.
Okay. We're gonna move
Yeah.
on to K Money. What's up?
Go ahead, K Money.
Okay. Hang on. K Money, what up, man? What's going on?
Yo, y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
what's up?
sir.
God damn it. Team Tank took a hit tonight. Fuck. The one night I put on my fucking Sacramento hat, bro.
I love this guy.
Tank,
God damn it.
Tank World Order is in shambles. It's dead.
That's funny, man.
But
Say no to tanking. Say no to tanking, man. We got the whole shirt and everything for you guys.
I
I
don't know
remember
what to.
that.
I just hope Masai isn't back out of trading whatever players he really got to trade at
I
this
mean,
point.
look, the writing is on the wall. It's not like
Yeah.
winning 4 or 5 games is going to change this team's like overall trajectory. Everyone can play nice for like a week. Look, what I think it happened in that player meeting and player only meeting, right? And the Raptors had another player only meeting this past weekend, I believe, when they did the film session, watching the old things or whatever. And what I think happened was there was kind of like a resolution that was formed of this is probably not going to work. How do we salvage? How do we manage? How do we move forward? And clearly from that day on, we have seen tons and tons of reports of this guy's on the block. This guy's not coming back. This guy's being offered 3 picks for. The catalyst for all of that, all of those rumors was that meeting. So if like, I'm just going to paint a hypothetical picture here. Freddie wants X amount of money based on the dynamic between him and certain players. Raptors are not willing to offer it. Gary Trent Jr. didn't like the fact that he was put on the bench. Now we're hearing reports now of he's happy to come back. He's going to be a part of the team's future. Whatever. Let's just pretend that's not true for a second. And OG Anunoby sees himself as a third option or a second option on a good team.
The guy
Kinda
can't
sick of-
dribble.
You know,
I've never seen like a second option not be able to dribble.
I mean, you can be a second option and not be a super creative dribbler. You remember Rashard Lewis
Who can't
in
dribble?
Seattle? OG.
OG Anunoby.
I mean, Klay Thompson don't really dribble.
Exactly.
Was Clay?
That's-
I don't know. man.
Clay was a second option. I mean, look, if you like, if you consider, like, I'm not saying I'm open or I'm wanting OG to get traded. He's obviously one of my favorite players. But if what's coming back is Shaden Sharp and Dyson Daniels, one of those 2 guys, like a young player that has like considerably greater offensive upside that can come into your system and learn how to play Raptors defense and picks, I gotta say, like, I mean, rookie control over a high top 7, top 8 pick who has every bit as much potential but is on a different timeline, more on Scottie's timeline. I gotta say that's really hard to turn down. It really is.
And Portland's pick,
Yeah.
this year's pick at least would be valuable too, if they would give it
I
up.
mean, obviously they would be making a trade for OG because they would imagine that they're going to be able to turn around their season. Will they be able to turn around their season? I don't know. But I look at teams like Portland and I look at Sacramento and I just say, like, Jesus, like, these guys just do not have like super defenders. And the Raptors have an embarrassment of riches. Like, I feel like if Scottie Barnes was on the Sacramento Kings, he would be their lockdown defender. I feel like if Precious Achiuwa was on he would be the lockdown defender. I feel like if Pascal was on the fucking team, he would be the lockdown defender. So it's like you have 5 guys who would be like a lockdown defender on some of their team, and they can't find a way to defend together, which is just weird to me. But other teams are also looking at this saying, hey, like Fred could completely shore up my second unit's defense, or he could lead, my first unit, like, as a veteran leader. OG Anunoby could probably take, I think OG could probably take a 20th ranked defense and probably bring them to 12th. Like, I think he can raise your floor that much just because of how much he cleans up. Honestly, I think Pascal could do something pretty similar. And I also think Precious could do something similar. So all 3 of those guys, maybe Scottie's like the worst of those right now, just because he's so young. But like eventually I think Scottie could also do the same thing. So you have like 4 guys who can just raise the floor of your defense so much. Yeah. Any final thoughts, man?
I'm still Team Tank.
Yeah, me too.
We're in the middle of nowhere right now in the desert. Fuck.
in the
We need to
desert.
lose more games.
Are we gonna get a Moses? You know, like is there some sort of like Moses reference
I
coming
love
up?
this
No,
guy. Who is this guy? He's dope.
he's K Money. He's K
Oh,
Money.
K Money.
He's. I remember one call with K Money where he offered me Kyrie, KD for Scottie and OG, and on the trade show. I remember that, and I was just like, K Money, you're off by like $50 million. He's like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm off by
Give
$50
him
million
Thad Young.
dollars. Throw in Thad Young. He only makes $8 million. Throw in 8 Thad Youngs to make the salaries match. Anyway, K Money, I really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get back to tanking and somehow manage to lose against Houston on this trip. I have no idea. But
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Cheers to
I mean, like,
losses.
yeah. See you, man. Okay, and next up, and again, if you want to call in, whether you're a Sacramento native, if you're calling for the Kings or you're calling for the Raptors, I'm going to put the link in the comments right here. But you can also check the description if you miss it. Next up, we have Chris. Chris, what up, man?
Hey guys, how you guys doing tonight?
What's
We're
up,
doing good. We're doing good.
Or early morning on this side, I guess.
Which side is that? Is this you're in Toronto?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I really just want to have an honest conversation about OG.
Okay. I mean, this pertains to both Sacramento fans and Raptor fans because Raptor fans are trying to figure out how to keep him, and Sacramento fans are trying to figure out how to get him. So yeah, let's have an honest conversation about OG.
How good do you guys really think OG is? Like, cause like I look at like Precious and like I don't think like OG's that much better than Precious.
Defense or offense? They're just really different.
Defense is really close. Obviously, offense. I think obviously OG has the edge because he has a more consistent shot. But like Precious is just so. It's like so. Like he's more coordinated and so fluid, and then like
You want
Who
my
do you
honest
feel more
opinion?
comfortable with guarding De'Aaron Fox? Sorry, OG or Precious? And be honest.
Precious.
Hell no.
I'm telling you, he's
It's crazy.
so freaking quick.
Fox
Yeah.
is fucking
Dude,
cooking.
last year, okay, first of all, like I think Tyrese Maxey and De'Aaron Fox are two of the fastest, burstiest guys in the league. I remember last year where Precious had to switch on to Tyrese Maxey in the playoffs, and I literally think he might have been our best option on him. You don't know how laterally quick this guy is, but it is
I mean, he's
truly insane. The idea that the Miami Heat gave up on him, it's really staggering to me, because there was like some idea that he might be like Bam Adebayo. I don't think he's Bam Adebayo. He strikes me as a completely different beast altogether. Very high on Precious Achiuwa. Hate his basketball IQ. His basketball IQ. Absolutely hate his like mental, but his motor and his athleticism is like 99.9th percentile among NBA athletes.
It don't matter if his IQ is not there, though.
Yeah.
But look, we can agree that in NBA history there have been a couple of guys who never quite clicked mentally, but they were just able to dominate because of where they were in terms of skill development and athleticism. Dwight Howard never really completely figured it out mentally. There was always some gaps. There was always some late passes. There's a lot of stuff, right? There are a ton of guys like that. But I'm telling you, at some point, yeah, Dwight Howard.
Whenever I think of Precious, I think about the play he made last year. I think it was against the Sixers when he like hit. I think it was James Harden or some player. He hit him with like an in and out, and then
I remember that it was from the left corner.
Rim?
It was from the left corner, and he gets right to the rim, and I was just like,
I'm like,
does
OG
he
never gonna be able to make that move?
Yeah. Okay. So here's kind of my opinion on this. I think the best defender on the Raptors, probably controversial opinion, is Otto Porter Jr. I really believe that, and
He's not. He's not. But go ahead.
he is. But okay,
7%.
I'm telling you, he is. Like in terms of like, I'm not talking switchiest, I'm not talking flashiest, I'm talking most effective. I think Otto Porter Jr. is the best defender on the Raptors. Beyond that, I think it's kind of like pick your poison between OG and Precious. Now, why do I think OG is being elevated among everybody else? Well, would it be something about leading the league in steals, which is usually like a pretty good way. But when people talk about OG, like he's a top 3 DPOY candidate, I feel like they're not really watching other teams. Because there's stuff that Brooke Lopez does, Nick Claxton does, Evan Mobley does, Jaron
Evan
Jackson
Mobley
Jr.
is a
does.
fucking freak.
Well, that's my point, right? So I mean, like, where are we getting to? OG is a top
So
3, top 4
OG
defender.
is an A- on ball perimeter defense, puts him in the 81st percentile. Precious
Okay.
is, let me see, Precious is C- defensive impact, and he is 73rd percentile, which is pretty good for a position. So
I
a
mean,
B.
in fairness, like he really really struggled to start the season, but I'm telling you, like, and I mean, he's had spot minutes. He's had like 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 18 minutes here. Rhythm is a thing. I think that OG has had like one of his healthiest seasons ever. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying Precious is better than OG on defense. I'm saying
Yeah, I'm not saying that either.
he's at
I'm saying
least 2
both.
years younger. He's at least 2 years younger, and his upside on defense is far greater, in my opinion. His upside is greater on defense. I'm not
Upside
saying
on
he's
both
better
sides.
yet.
I think his upside on both sides of the balls.
His upside on offense is higher too, because there was
He ain't got
like,
no feel though. Like that man got no. Like I was watching him play, and I'm like, he's just one of those guys that's a fucking freak athletically, but
Mhm.
it's never gonna click for him, bro. He just doesn't have it in him.
how are we writing guys
Well,
off
that's-
at 23 years old and saying it's never going to click for them? I mean, there are a lot of guys
Ben
where it
McLemore,
clicks.
craziest athlete ever.
It's
Great looking
the
shot.
big difference
It didn't
between him and
matter.
Ben McLemore, buddy. The biggest difference is, like, Precious actually does have like an insane work ethic. And you know, there's a guy on this team who didn't have like the greatest feel because he picked up the game really late. His name's Pascal Siakam, and I'm telling you that guy just grinded and worked hard. And I think Precious has athletic gifts that Pascal would have died for. Look, I spent most of
seen
last
too
year
many of
campaigning
these
that the guy
guys.
should be in the G League and that he was the worst player in the NBA. That's where he was last year. Where is he this year? I think he could help literally any team in the league as a rotation player. To go from where he was at the beginning of last season to where he is now is pretty staggering. I'm
I
just going to
think
say that.
fans fall in love with like athleticism and
I don't give a fuck about
hypothetical
athleticism.
and like
My favorite player is
hypothetical
Scottie
upside.
Barnes. My favorite player is Scottie Barnes. My favorite player all time is Arvydas Sabonis. I mean, who, like, I'm not like
I mean,
It's
but
not
what?
like he's not athletic, guys. Okay, so
Scottie.
it's not like OG's not athletic either. So
OG's super athletic. It's a
Exactly.
different
Yeah.
type of athleticism, though. It
Yeah.
is like that twitchy, extreme athletic. Like Fred's athletic in a weird way. He's athletic. You know, Chris Paul's athletic, but there's like bursty athleticism. Like Shaden Sharp is like freakishly athletic. LeBron James, freakishly athletic. Vince Carter, freakishly athletic. I think those types of athletes can do things that other people just can't. Like, and you might, and that might include switching on to a De'Aaron Fox, and that might include getting a rebound on a second jump. There's just things that Precious can do on defense that none of his teammates can do, is what I'm saying.
My
Whether
whole
he will do them consistently or not, that's completely different question.
my whole point to bring up this whole debate is like I honestly feel like the best way to go from here is to trade OG because I feel like as an asset, I personally don't think OG is going to get any much better than he already is at the moment, which he is a very good player right now.
I
But
think he could get
that-
better.
personally, that's just me. So I think so. You have to sell high on him.
He's pretty
right now.
solid now, though. I mean, even if he doesn't get better, 20,
Oh.
15 to 20 a night, elite defense.
Oh,
I'm gonna
for sure.
take that.
I love OG, but like if he doesn't want to be here, and like obviously like the usage on the team isn't going to change anytime soon.
But why can't it change? I mean, okay, so like hypothetically, you move Fred.
Even if we remove Fred, like
Doesn't that remove like a lot of the issues?
yeah, but like I would still rather like most of the usage go to like obviously I would still want like Gary to get most of the shots after that.
You know, it's interesting. Like I people have said like in the past that I've been always like very, very critical of Fred VanVleet. So I decided to watch a video that I made in the off season called "The Toronto Raptors Backcourt is a Really Big Issue." got about 13,000 views, and I was sort of surprised because it was one of my earlier videos how correct it turned out to be. And one of the things I said in it was, you can have one, you just can't have both of these guys. They do a lot of the same stuff. They have a lot of the same issues in terms of efficiency, defense, etc. And I really do believe whichever one of these guys you move, if you replace it with Precious Achiuwa, because it's so obvious to me the Raptors have 6 starters right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I don't know how. Like, do we want to be in the same boat next year with Precious Achiuwa demanding out because he thinks he can start at 4 or 5 for like some other team, and you know he's got an agent in his ear saying like, "Oh, you want a max contract?" Because you know, straight up, like, this guy's not going to be cheap to sign either. I'm telling you, like, if he keeps doing what he's doing and he's grinding the way he's grinding and some of the stuff he's talked about with his work ethic, like, don't be surprised if you end up signing this guy back for like $25 million a year in a few years. I'm telling you.
And then that's another reason why you have to move off OG as well too, because like he's coming up for a big payday too.
All right,
Yeah.
so RP says, from the way you guys talk about the Raptors, y'all make them sound like a team that plays with zero effort and extremely selfish. Why they play so good tonight then?
I don't who said that? I don't see it.
RP did. It's in the
Oh,
comments.
RP auditions. I don't know. I mean, look, I mean, teams get together. The road trips are usually a really good time for people to come together because you're taken out of your familiar surroundings, especially if you enter that road trip. There was also 2 days off in the middle for the Raptors. I think they last played on, I mean, what are we at right now? We are on Thursday. They last played on Monday. Am I correct? So they had Tuesday, Wednesday off. Wait, no, they played Sunday. So they had Monday, Tuesday off. They got a film session in. They watched, apparently, according to Thaddeus Young, they watched a whole bunch of highlights of their old defense from last year. Maybe they got inspired.
They were well prepared coming into this game. It was nice.
Very.
They really were. You know, one of the things that was Jeff Van Gundy was talking about was teams don't practice that much anymore because of like the load and, you know, and that has the most tremendous impact on defense. And whereas most teams are just trying to outgun other teams and defense is kind of going by the wayside, for a team like the Raptors, where like the focus coming into the season was, if we don't guard, we don't win because our offense is dog shit. You know, the lack of practice time, the lack of rest, especially like some of the scheduling stuff for the Raptors has been absolutely crazy. I think even this road trip is pretty crazy. I think it's seven games in 12 nights, right? So there's like a back-to-back here. You're in multiple cities. You're in one hotel, out the other hotel. It's a grind, you know? It's just surprising to me that like the schedule can't be a little bit more spaced out for this team.
Someone said Shane Battier for OG. Hell no. OG is better
Shane
than
Battier as a comp?
As a comp? No.
Ron Artest is a solid comp. I like I'll give you that, Rob.
Yeah.
Ron Artest was really good.
I mean, Shane Battier was also really good. One of my favorite players. Like he was incredible. People just don't understand what he brings. People just don't. People don't understand what guys like. You know, I was looking at value of a replacement, right? As a stat, because typically, okay. So here's a fun fact. Do you know how many players Nikola Jokic has already passed on value of a replacement that are already in the NBA's top 75? It's crazy. Nikola Jokic.
He's insane, bro. That guy's a freak.
Makes no sense. Like
he's 27 years old, and in half the games played, less than half the games played, he's already passed Steve Nash.
He's 41st in usage rate in the NBA.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's just people love playing with him, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of his actual impact on winning, like how he elevates that offense, like it is something otherworldly to try and even dissect it on a film. You're like, how did he see that? How did he do that? How is he impacting? He's setting screens to get guys open. He's communicating. Like I saw a lot of that tonight. Talk about that. Like, did you see Scottie? Like, okay, if I ask you, not to, it's a very leading question here. If I ask you, who was the most vocal Raptor tonight in terms of like the guy you heard on the court the most? Who did you hear the most? And I'm not talking Pascal Siakam's yeah every single time he drives.
I was gonna say
Okay,
that too.
because
That's
that shit
funny.
is like weird. But like
Obvious though.
in terms of communication.
It's obvious.
I saw Fred talk a lot. I
Okay.
did. Who was up there with Fred though? OG. I didn't see OG talk a lot. I guess Guy is pretty animated. If I'm being honest, like he talks a lot.
Watcho. He's so crazy.
Yeah, I'd say between Fred and Scottie.
Interesting.
I just want Scottie to be unleashed at point guard so badly. Like just
Yeah,
it's annoying when
he's
people
fun.
say he's upset.
He's fun to watch.
Big, like it's so annoying. Like I've been having arguments with buddies of mine about like they don't believe that he can actually be a point guard. Like,
Why do you think that is? Like, is there some sort of like? Because I'm trying to understand this. Malachi's dad is calling him Dennis Rodman. Will Lou is basically saying he's a center. The Draymond and Ben Simmons shit will not die. What is it that I am missing about Scottie
Ben
being a
Simmons
point?
is a point guard, though. I mean, Ben Simmons
Ben is a point
has been
guard, but
considered a point guard like his whole life.
no, I get it. I get what you're saying, but I mean, like, he's not. He's a non-shooter. He's a liability from the line. He doesn't take any threes. Like, why are people comparing him when it's so obvious? Like, to me, it's like, why? Like, when I listen to the
question
narrative,
is, why is Ben a point guard and not Scottie? That's the question.
okay.
no, I think the question is, why is Cade a point guard and not Scottie? I think that's the question. Because here's the question: like, when I listen to people talk about Cade, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, and I listen to them talk about Scottie Barnes in terms of offensive role, fluidity, upside, you would think that one of these guys is shooting like 20% from three and the other guy is shooting 40%. They're actually pretty much dead even. Like, Scottie's pretty much shot, like, for the vast majority of his career so far, he's shot better than Suggs and Cade from three. So why is he's made more threes this year than Cade? Like, granted, he's had more games, but like, why is this? Yes, it's a little bit of a cheeky stat, but nevertheless, I mean, he had a game where he had 5 threes. He's had games where he's had 2 threes. He's had games. Ben Simmons is not doing this, and frankly, neither is Draymond Green. So why does the comparison? And fuck, don't even get me started on how many career threes did Dennis Rodman have? I'm just trying to understand. Is it because he's big? Is there some sort of bias, like where because he's just so freaking advanced physically that people just can't see him as a guard because he's kind of built like a center? It would be like Dwight Howard coming out and being like, "I'm a point guard now," you know?
In person, he's a freak.
Yes, he is huge, and it's exaggerated because it's like he's just all limbs and no torso. He's just limbs and legs. Have you noticed that? It's just all limbs and legs. He's just like one of the biggest human beings you ever see, and you're just like, this is a point guard? Then what the hell am I? You know?
Somebody was trying to tell me they can't see him working out of the pick and roll consistent enough. And then I was like, I just don't think he's been put in that position, but I definitely think he could do it if he's put in that position enough.
RP says his ball handling is what separates them in terms of perceived value from the casual fan. I think that's a good point because, you know, as content creators, we understand that fans consume highlights, quick stuff on Instagram, what sells, handles, you know, quick like dope plays, and that's where I think a lot of people fall in love with the idea of, oh, you gotta have a insane Kyrie type of handle to be a point guard. The reality is there's different forms of being a point guard, aka a playmaker. LeBron doesn't have the greatest handle, but he's a point guard to me, whether people like it or not. Like, to me, so yeah, it's all perception, bro. Like, Malachi's dad was probably drunk when he said that. It wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised. So, you know, Dennis Rodman is far from the truth. Like, there's no comparison whatsoever. Hall of Famer, but damn, Dennis Rodman, stop it.
You know what's funny though? ironically, the only part of that thing is true is that I always felt like Dennis Rodman didn't get enough credit for being the amazing passer that he was.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Like I think that was one of the most unheralded. I never hear that about Dennis. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm hanging around with dummies, but I just hear a lot of people talk about his rebounding, his defense, his hustle.
Well, his
That I don't hear
rebounding was
people
like
talk about.
godly though.
His rebounding was godly, and Scotty's
Yes.
is not that. You know, if anything, you could compare Precious Achiuwa to Dennis Rodman a lot more favorably.
As long as Fred's on the team, he'll never be seen as the actual point guard.
You know what? Here's the thing.
I don't think so. I think regardless, if you move Fred, people will still say the shit that Scottie isn't the point guard.
I don't think so, because the ball will be more in his hands than people actually see what we are seeing.
Bro, perceived value league wide, they're gonna be like, oh, he's just a point forward, but like they won't call him a point guard. So it's one of those things, man. Who cares? At the end of the day, if Scottie is the guy with the ball, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
Allstate. Shout out to Allstate, man.
Yeah, no, I think okay, so let's just wrap this up tonight.
Yeah.
We're gonna, I mean, on Leo needs to get home. We're at 2 a.m. on Toronto time here. So any sort of final takeaways? Who's your player of the game? It's really difficult with a combined effort tonight, but who was your player of the game tonight, Leo, for the Kings and for the Raptors?
No, nobody for the Kings, but
no players of the game for the Kings. Okay.
For the Raptors, I thought Precious was pretty solid. I thought Boucher was auditioning for the Kings tonight. And then Scottie was very mature, but I think I'm going to give it to Precious.
Yeah, me too. I think to me it's like a split between Scottie and Precious. I think they both and OG. Like I think those three just changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, kudos to Scottie for being. I mean, people are gonna be like, man, like this is the biggest Scottie homer ever. You know, he's the lowest scoring starter on the team. He still gives him, you know, player of the game. I just think that for that offense to function, for those lineups to work.
He took 8 shots though. I mean,
exactly. Someone has to do that. Someone has to be willing to do that. And kudos to the guy for doing that, because you know what? He's 21 years old. He could very easily be immature about this and be like, "Fuck you. I'm not giving up touches. I'm actually making my shots. I'm averaging nearly 20 points per game."
6 boards, 11 assists, 2 steals. Like he's impacting the game in different facets. It's not just scoring. This guy is a player that put the other guys in positions tonight to score. Gary Trent fed off of Scottie Barnes. You know, even Van Vliet was shooting some long ass shots, and then I was like, yes, and then he made him. I'm like, it's one of those. I mean, he was 2 for 9, but when he made that long 3, I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, Scottie Barnes impacts the game in different facets of this beautiful game that we love. So if you're just looking at scoring as a depiction of you're good or bad, you're watching basketball for the wrong reasons, and you're not looking at it the right way.
Facts.
It's funny because the box score says power forward Siakam, small forward OG, small forward Scottie Barnes, shooting guard Fred VanVleet, and shooting guard Gary Trent. The Raptors have officially no point guard according to according to ESPN.
Malachi is the only point guard on there.
And honestly, that's so funny. But you know, ESPN has ranked Fred VanVleet as a shooting guard literally all season, and I find it hilarious because I think ESPN is listening to me then. Because I'm on record. He is not a point guard. He's never been a point guard. I don't think he's a point guard. And you know, this insistence on this guy having to be like, oh, he's the shortest guy and he handles the ball a lot. He's a point guard. Anyone on the court can be the point guard. Anyone, including the center, including the power forward, including the small forward. It doesn't really matter. It's basically if you're initiating from the top, you're the point guard. In my opinion,
Joker the point guard?
Totally. You know, in certain situations, Domas is a point guard. In certain situations, Joel Embiid is a point guard. I mean, you telling me James Harden's not a point guard because Tyrese Maxey's smaller? Come on, man! Like James Harden initiates that offense. He's running like 25 pick and rolls every single game. How is he not a point guard? You know, Is he less of a point guard? Like I think playmaking is what it is, and wherever you playmake from. Tony Kukoc, had point forward, Lamar Odom point forward. They call it point forward because they don't want to call it point guard because he's not a. But I think the point is point. It's you can
Point
call it whatever the
center.
hell you want. Point center, point guard, point. It's the point is point.
Mhm.
Man, I get a T-shirt for
To be
that.
fair, to go back to the Kings, I felt like Keegan Murray was fun as fudge to watch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He was 4-7 from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
I felt like Raptor fans got a good glimpse of what Keegan is, and talking to some of the media guys from the Raptors. I felt like they were like in agreement that in order to get OG here, it would take like a Keegan Murray. Obviously, both Rob and I have discussed that trade.
Or we
Mhm.
could draft his twin.
Well, yeah. So his brother is a lefty. That's a guy that the Raptors could look at. Like
But
anywhere from like 15 to like 30. Like he's pretty good.
mhm.
I think he
So
might go higher than that, but I think, yeah, I looked up and down the draft. I looked at those picks, and it's starting to look like with every one of these wins that we muster up, that
Oh,
it's not going to be Wemby and Scoot, okay?
we're playing.
But I think that there is a comfortable, maybe very, very good player available for this team somewhere in that Dyson Daniels to Kawhi range, which is 8 to 15, right? And I trust the Raptors in that part of the draft. They've operated in that part of the draft. As long as the draft class is good, really the only place they've struggled, per my understanding, is, I mean, they really haven't struggled anywhere. Late lottery, they've been kind of hit or miss. Sorry, not late lottery. Late second round. But I mean, those are always going to be a crapshoot. Early second round, they've done pretty well. First half of the second round, they've done pretty well. Lottery, they've done pretty well. Jakob Poeltl, you can say he wasn't Domantas Sabonis. Okay, that's the only knock on him you can really put up. But he's still a top 10 player from that draft. And they picked him ninth. So I say you win that, just because you didn't get the best guy. I still think you got solid value for a ninth pick. You got solid value for a 27th pick. This is a team that has just drafted really well. So 15th overall, 13th overall, 10th overall, 8th overall, I have no doubt that they're going to get a top 10 player from this draft. And if what I'm seeing in this draft is correct so far, it seems like a top 10 player from this draft is a hell of an asset to have.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of good players.
it is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paige's son, by the way. I just saw your story.
Andre
Um,
Stojakovic.
The kid is a killer. I mean, he goes to Jesuit high school here, Catholic school here in Sacramento. He plays for that AAU team that's pretty popular,
Compton Magic.
Compton Magic. Like that kid can hoop. And you know what's crazy though? That his little brother is a hooper. I mean, that dude is putting up buckets. Like there's another one. I think he's like 11. Like
Yeah.
he's tall. Like
So
man,
yeah, the thing with
it's
Andre
wild.
is he grew up playing soccer specifically. And it wasn't until the pandemic that Andre really started taking basketball seriously. And he's not like his dad at all. Now my ex-girlfriend's cousins with Peja. Fun fact, first cousins. So yeah, so Peja, like when he married, I think her name is Alika, right?
Yep.
His wife, Alika. She's a supermodel. She's a Greek supermodel, and yeah, it's so interesting to see Andre because he reminds me, like he looks like young Peja. Peja and I come from the same country, FYI, to anyone who doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Like we come from Yugoslavia, so um, it's really interesting to see how different he is than his dad, though. Like he's
a
athletic.
modernized Peja. Like he's
He's
athletic.
not. He's so different. Peja was like standstill movement shooter, not
But that's how
super
you
athletic.
played back then. But like that's how
No,
you
no, no.
played
As an
back then, though.
athlete, he's different.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah,
different as an athlete. He's also bursty. Like he's not like, I'm not saying he's John Morant, but he's
No.
bursty. He's burstier. He's got like a little bit of sauce to his game. He's got a real aggression to his game too. Like you would not call this guy soft at all. And his footwork is awesome, and that's where I remember on a pod a couple of weeks back, he was talking about how soccer helps basketball players become like better basketball
That's why
players
my
because
son's
of,
gonna play soccer.
honestly, yeah, like that's such a great thing for young basketball players, young hoopers to learn is soccer first. So his first love
Footwork.
was, but people get like, people get kind of turned off by like, oh well, this guy didn't love basketball his whole life. I mean, you might not love basketball too much either if basketball was the reason that you were moving around from city to city, you didn't see your dad for like so much
Yeah.
time, and he doesn't want to be remembered as Page's son. Like he wants to be his own person, and I feel like, he's McDonald's All-American. It's
He's
pretty
going
crazy.
Stanford. Like everybody wanted him. I
Everyone
mean,
wanted him.
it was
Duke wanted
Ohio,
him. Kansas wanted him.
Duke, Kansas, Ohio
He's a
State,
four-star recruit.
and he ended up going with Stanford. Like it was a big deal here for like our city. So it was cool, man. He has a great chance to make it to the league. Like he's a good
He really
player.
does. Maybe
Well,
like it's a late first round guy who just catches on with the team and becomes like solid. Like I'm talking solid, like third,
Right
fourth
now,
starter.
like
I'm not projecting star, superstar, whatever.
yeah,
But to be honest, we weren't projecting star, superstar with his dad either, right? Back then. Work ethic will carry him through, but I will say, given how new he is to competitive basketball, even though he's grown up around the game his whole life, etc., his the way that he reads and reacts to situations on the basketball court, it's insane. He has a good work ethic. Um, yeah, I think he like Bronny James or Andrej Stojakovic. Andrej Stojakovic, man, he's definitely better than Bronny James. I'll tell you that. No offense, LeBron.
and Bronny's good, but like
He's good.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, Andre is 6'7". That matters. Like
now
6'7"
Bronny's
at age.
brother, he is stud too.
Is he?
He is, and he's already way bigger.
dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
His
He's taller.
brother, he's like 6'5", 6'6" already.
Yeah.
Khan says, Rob, can you tell me what the Raptors' plans are for Birch? I don't think they have any plans for Kem Birch. I honestly think they would trade him for a second round pick at this point. He's
In
not
the bag of
playing.
chips.
He's not playing. He's eating up a roster spot. He's still on the books for this year and next year, which is like, why sign this guy to a 3-year deal? I have no idea.
And
But
Monty, real quick, he says whichever team picks up Imani's gonna have a stud. That kid
Oh,
can play.
off
Like
the-
Imani?
yeah.
Imani Bates.
49.
What? Sorry,
Yeah.
am I living on some parallel universe where this guy, like, you think he's good?
He had 49 last night, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Playing in a terrible conference. He is one of the worst teams ever. His dad is like a serious issue. I think like
He's
his
so talented.
NBA chances, yeah, talent,
He's
eye
so-
test, yes,
He is
but
so talented.
there's what do you like about him so much?
He's just a smooth operator. Like he can
Yeah,
score.
but I mean, like, what is he? Who is he playing up against though?
Bro, you can't teach 6'8", 6'9", like type of guys that can score like that. Like you
Gerald
made the mistake
Green.
with
Gerald Green.
Gerald Green was like 6'6" though. But like this
Okay.
guy's like, let me double check it. I think he's 6'9" now. Let me see. Imani Bates. Bro, he's a freak. Let me see.
I mean, that's even more reason to believe that he's gonna
He's
fail because he has.
6'9". He's
Uh-huh.
6'9", probably with like a 7'3", 7'4" wingspan. Extremely mobile for his size. Like he plays like a real. He's good, bro. Like he's
How do you
solid
Okay.
as hell.
Like RP brings up a really good point. I like Imani, but man, his wingspan is small. He looks like a microwave scorer. I mean, the wingspan thing
Wingspan
has
small? Let me see.
yeah, it is. I think he's got a 6'7" wingspan. He's got really short arms. That was one of the biggest concerns about him as a
What?
prospect. I think the bigger concern about him as a prospect is the off court stuff, man. Like, I mean, like there was a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
talk. I mean, if you're in the circles, you've heard it,
Put up
right? Like,
43 last night.
again, who are you facing? Right? It's like
Toledo. I mean that's
okay,
not bad.
dude. Okay, I think the best example here is Andrej Stojakovic, right? Like, okay, he put up 25 points per game for his high school team, right? He was still a 4-star recruit. Nobody ranked him top 100. Why? Because 25 points per game doesn't mean shit if you're not playing against anybody, right? Anyone could do that. Well, anybody could do that, but I mean,
He
like
made
any half
7
decent 6'7" guy.
three-pointers.
Okay, again, who's he facing?
Bro, he's 6'9". Like, it don't even matter. Like, if he's
You think he's gonna
bro.
go first round?
We got LeBron saying, "My goodness, straight killer." That's insane. Let me see what he did, bro. Like, this kid.
If he has a couple more games like that,
Someone's saying 43 points is still 43. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't do that.
That guy's a killer. He's going in the first. He's
You
going.
think he's gonna go first round?
And if he doesn't, someone's gonna be very happy with him.
Yo, Don Vito's killing me here. I scored 43 points at Good Life Fitness yesterday. Is 43 points
No,
still?
you didn't, Don Vito. Stop lying. You didn't score 43. Stop lying. I didn't score 43 last night. So
Yo,
stop lying.
Don't stop hating on Don Vito. It was the first to 400 points. He scored 43 points.
There
Okay.
you go.
He scored 43. Okay.
But he
I think the
did.
most I ever scored in a game was 26. I've never even touched 30. I just wasn't that type of player. I didn't like aggressively hunt my shot. I was a shooter
Me
and a
too.
passer.
26 in high school. But that was like, I'm more of a passer, but yeah.
all right,
43.
Yeah. All right, Chris.
you guys have
All
a
right,
nice.
Joe.
Have a good night, man. Cheers. All right.
All right,
We are
man.
going to wrap this show up. Thank you to everyone who called. Thanks for all the comments. Really appreciate it, guys. Any sort of final thoughts on the deadline and what you think the Kings want to do with this? I know you got to get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a ton of people in this arena, as you guys can probably hear. Like, they're trying to get the Kings won't be back till the 10th of February. But in terms of the deadline, I'm not expecting much, if I'm being honest, just because they're kind of tied up with the whole Kevin Huerter trade with Atlanta. I don't know how easy or how hard it is to call them and be like, hey, can we protect 2025? That way I got 2023 to use as a trade asset, right? I think I say this every single night, because as of today, they can only offer a 2028 first round pick, which may not be as enticing to a team like the Raptors or a team like the Utah Jazz, who are putting up Vanderbilt up for a first round pick, but they want the Jazz want a 23 or a 2024. The Suns will probably, give them that. But I think the Suns are going to go after a guy like OG. So that's probably their first choice. Vanderbilt is still a very good player, 23 years old. I know Rob loves him. I love him. So will they move the needle? I don't think they will. They might do like smaller moves, maybe go get like a Mason Plumlee, stuff like that, which would help, but not necessarily move the like OG takes you from a 22 to a top 15 defense easy, in my opinion. So, but what's the ask price? If it's 3 first round picks, you can't really offer them, right now. But
yeah, I mean, you could get a third team involved. I don't know.
Or that.
I don't know. Tamberlin asks, and she asks like final thoughts on OG. Like does he really want out?
I really want to show Raptor fans what he did, and like when people talk about fluid, not fluid, can he get to his spots? I think he can. I've seen the flashes. I just don't think that
Kawhi wasn't fluid. Kawhi's not fluid. There's a lot of guys who aren't fluid. I just think that earlier in the season, what I was seeing was he was effective. He was effective at getting into the spots. His shot was going in.
He was attacking though. Like he was attacking the rim with such a quick burst first step that I'm not seeing. I didn't see that tonight. A lot of it too is because of the offense, because there's too many me type guys that he can't operate like that.
He's also spacing for guys who don't space for him. He's screening for guys who don't screen for him. He's passing to guys who don't pass to him. So I think that that's important too. Now, granted, tonight, I do think that Fred and Pascal and Scottie all found him open for corner threes or whatever. But that's not really how he was getting all his shots, when he was sort of like leading the way. I think they've kind of boxed him in offensively into this
Fair
sort
point.
of like catch and shoot role, and I think he wants to do more, and I think he's ready to do more, and I think he's shown that he can do more, not necessarily as a dribble isolation scorer, or
Right.
like,
Right.
he's not going to make and one mixtape, but just as a guy who can sort of like pick and choose his spots on the boat and the post, play make a little bit out of those. I have been on the record like several times this year saying that I really like what I'm seeing from him as a passer. It's starting to come. It's not pretty, it's not, but it is effective. It gets to the guy, it gets there on target. It just looks a little funny sometimes. That's much better than making pretty passes to no one,
Right.
or making pretty passes to the third row. Like I much prefer a guy who just gets the job done, and OG gets the job done on defense, offense. Yeah, Precious looks flashier on defense to me. Some of the stuff Precious does on defense is just like, whoa. Scottie sometimes looks really flashy on defense. Like some of the full court stuff that he does, like he poked the ball away. But OG's just solid. And I think like, when I was talking to Brian, Scottie's trainer, whenever we talked about OG, I wish I had like those Allen Iverson practice counter, right?
Mhm.
I wish I had a solid counter for the number of times that Brian used the word solid to define OG. We talked about him as a human being. He's solid. We talk about him as a defender. He's solid. We talk about him as an offensive player. He's solid. He's just solid. He's just a solid dude. He's a solid player.
How
It's
much
not
is Solid worth though on his next contract? 24
so 24 million,
per
dude. No, he's going to make much more than 24 million. I think he's
per.
looking at, yes. I think OG's next contract, you might be surprised, will be north of 30 to 32 a
Not if
million a
he stays
year
on this team.
wherever he goes, because he's not an idiot. He gave them a huge discount on his last contract. He's not doing that again, right? I think honestly, fair market value for OG right now might be 5 years 180. 5 years 185. Um, maybe if there's a bidding war, five
I think
years. Yeah,
I
like I think
I
that's the
think you'll be
range.
surprised. I think he's 26 million max.
Bet on it. Bet on it. You want to bet on it?
Yeah,
Let's make a friendly bet right now.
yeah.
Yeah, like
So you're saying 30, I'm saying 26.
I'm saying north of 30. His next
No.
contract, provided he does not have an injury or something. Okay, guys, let me know in the chat.
I'm saying I don't think he gets more than 26.
Dude, there's
Like I
there's
really don't.
212 people in the chat. I want to know and if, by the way, if you failed grade 6 math, just don't answer this one, because I do not want to hear like your like, oh, 18 million for 3 years type of shit.
No.
No, give me a per year value of what you think OG is going to get on his next contract. Egos of Para says 5 years, 160. 35. We really doing that, bro? God, please no. Just the Star says, I'll bet you. Yeah, okay. Fred wants 30 million, and OG is much more valuable. You guys need to look at the next CBA, man. Like, you're gonna be surprised. Someone said 27 to 28, 27.
It depends on what team it is because yes, Poole got 30, but they won the championship and he's flashy. Like
It
I
doesn't
think
matter he won the championship. It's an open market. He's an unrestricted free agent. This is not like a restricted free agent situation where like every team wants him. Every team. The number one thing that creates, I'll tell you the four things that create
what is he though?
contract
Is he is he your third, fourth best player? There aren't
irrelevant.
many teams. There aren't many teams that can offer $30 million for a third and fourth option. Like let's be real. Is he worth 30? And in a hypothetical world, sure. But can many teams offer their third, fourth best player 30 million
Yes.
per? No.
Yes. They will offer it. I'm telling you, like I'm just telling you. I've talked to a lot of people around the league that have said like he is one of the most number one. He is one of the most
I'm not
portable
saying that.
players. He's one of the
I'm
most
not,
portable players in the NBA,
he fits
right?
on every roster, right? Like
Exactly.
that's
And the
right.
portability element is very important here, because when you talk about market, right? Market value for any asset is only as good as the market demand. If the market demand is all 30 teams, then the odds of a bidding war for that player's services go up drastically. That means that I'm not like it highly will be contingent on number one, how many teams actually have cap space. But when you look at it, 5 teams have cap space. He's going to be 26 years old. You're telling me he's not going to be the number one target for all of them? Because he's going to be number one or number two target for every single team, which means some team is going to have to outbid the other 5 teams that want him, that have the cap space to get him, which means that even if the team that ends up signing him wants to pay him
going up. So how much is CBA going up?
A lot.
Roughly.
Okay, we don't have exact numbers yet, but depending on whether it's cap smoothing or whether it's all in one chunk, which I think it'll probably be cap smoothing, even if it doesn't go up by like a lot, people already factor in the bump into the next contracts that they're going to sign. Plus, he's not signing his contract like right now. He's going to sign it this offseason with the Raptors, or he's going to play out next season and decline his player op.
Right. So he has this season, and then the next season is a player option.
Yes. No. No. Next season he's on contract. The year after is a player option. So he will decline his player option.
It's this year and next season.
It's a year and a half. So you have him on contract next year. But if you play, so right now we're 2022, 2023, right? 2023, 2024, he has a fully guaranteed contract for about $18 million or so, right? The year after that is a player option, which means that he could become a free agent in 2024. My point is that by 2024, it'll be pretty clear how much the cap is going up. Number one, right? So teams that are looking to kind of like understand what is a starting small forward who's one of the best defensive players in the league in his prime, what is that worth?
I'm going to go 26 to 28 max.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like
you're saying 30 to what? 32?
Okay. Now,
what are you saying?
Hold on.
What are you saying?
Hold on. So to anyone out there, if you're drinking a liquid, don't drop it. Don't drop the liquid. Don't spit it out on your screen and then blame me later for asking me to get you a new MacBook. I can't buy you a new MacBook. I'm not that rich. I'll tell you right now, I would not be surprised if his next contract is north of $35 million. You'd be surprised. You will be surprised. Yeah, who do you like? That's what DeJounte Murray's going to get too, buddy. Like, you don't give up 3 draft picks. You don't give up 3 first rounders. You're not asking for 3 first rounders for a guy that's not worth at least 3 draft picks. It's just like, or who's not worth at least $35 million. $35 million is I'm not saying it's chump change, but you got to understand who set the market here. Are you telling? Okay, right now, be honest. Michael Porter Jr. or OG Anunoby? Who do you want?
OG.
Okay. What does Michael Porter Jr. make? He's making nearly $35 million a year. That's my point.
Is he really?
Yes.
Hold up. Something like this up. That is ridiculous if he is. Michael Porter Jr. contract. He's not making $35 million.
Yes, he is. It's an annual average of $35 million. He signed a 5-year $179,299. He signed a 5-year $180. The average contract value of that over 5 years is $35.89 million. What are you talking about?
He is.
Yeah.
So he's making 30 this year, and it progressively goes up
to 40. Yes.
God diggity, the Nuggets are stupid, but
they're not stupid. But you have to understand. Look, this happens every year. I come from a finance background, so I feel like I have like a serious obligation to explain this.
No, but there's a lot of stuff in this contract though. So during his 2026 season, it's only $12 million guaranteed, and then it's $17 million guaranteed if he earns NBA All-Star in any of the 2021 through 2025. So yeah, I mean it's still a lot of fucking money for him.
Yeah, and that's by the way for a guy who had played like not even close to OG's level as sustainably as OG has. He has no championship. He's never made an all-defense team or whatever. Never made an all-star team. He's barely been healthy. But they signed him for that. Jamal Murray, same thing, right? So there are a lot of players in this league that are making north of $30 million that I would take OG over in a heartbeat. And trust me, like he's with Clutch. They will negotiate.
Fox got 5 years, 163.
Yeah.
And this guy got more?
Yep.
God, what are the Nuggets doing?
Look, you got to look at the asset value here. Like, look, last year you remember me rating Fox, right? And I had him as like the
He didn't get
22nd
the
best,
contract for last year. He got the contract from the year before, which was a great year.
but he was still on a losing team, number one, and he's still a one-way player. Like, I still think he doesn't play. He doesn't have like look, the best version of OG. The best version. I'm not talking like the actualized version, because the actualized version right now, it's very easy to say, oh, well, look at the season Fox is having. He's probably an all-star this year. The Kings are doing so well. How can you possibly say that the hypothetical version that they signed of De'Aaron Fox is worse than the hypothetical version of Michael Porter Jr.? You've got to look at what Michael Porter Jr. is. He is a former number one overall recruit. He is a guy who, if he gets past these injuries, which, I mean, let's say maybe he won't get past these injuries, is probably a top 15 to top 25 player in the NBA. You could make the argument, you could make a leap to say he could be that, given where he is. Also, the shooting. I think his shooting, his 3-point shooting, is the swing skill, and people were just trying to stack up shooters. That's why Duncan Robinson got paid so much, right? So if Duncan's getting paid. Look at Tyler Hero's contract. You telling me are you telling me you'd rather have Tyler Hero than OG Anunoby? Like, I wouldn't. So exactly, look at Tyler Hero's last contract. This is the market. I'm telling you, DeJounte is going to set the market.
Stupid ass market.
I mean, but the market is relative to what teams are worth, bro. Like, these teams are worth billions of dollars. I mean, they're making billions of dollars. Why can't the players get paid? I mean, like, look, the what you're getting.
Guys like Tyler Hero are getting paid. Like, Tyler Hero's not even. He's awful defensively. He has no lack of like feel. Like, that's.
No, I get you. And look, if I was running a team, probably I would have the same concerns as you do about paying guys like Tyler Hero, whatever, right? But like, this is a league where Timothy Mozgov got, I think, 4 years, 64 million when the cap went up. You remember that? You remember Alan Crabb getting that huge deal? I think it was 68 million. It was unheard of for a guy like Alan Crabb to get it was 68 or 80 million dollars. We were shocked out of our minds when we were reading these contracts. We're like, what the fuck is happening? Is there a mafia investigation? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. That's what happens when you raise the cap suddenly.
Luol Deng.
Luol Deng. I love Luol Deng. I remember watching him in person in high school. So cool. So you remember? Did you know that he and Charlie V used to play on the same high school team?
I did not know that.
Yeah, in New Jersey. It was really cool to watch those two. It was crazy too.
De'Aaron Fox's on-ball perimeter defense is in the 85th percentile. Something that I told you guys would happen when he had a good head coach. So
didn't look great today.
Fucking elite.
Didn't look great today, man. Sometimes these analytics, they can be wrong. Look, I mean, like, I've had to caution myself with certain analytics. Like, analytics do not make OG look great defensively. They make him look good. They don't make him look great, because it's like difficult to scale certain attributes, right? On-ball defense versus off-ball defense. Rui Hachimura is a really good example of that. I saw you made a post about the Lakers trading for him and making no dent on their overall impact, which is hilarious. I hate watching this guy play. I can't stand him. Like, if he was on the Raptors, I would have like half of Japan just trying to cancel me, because I straight up cannot stand watching this guy play basketball. It's because it's everything that's like, wrong with basketball. Like, he's empty calories. He doesn't play defense, huh?
It's also has to do with like him being checked out from that team.
Why? Overall, who the fuck are you to get checked out of that team? Like, you've done nothing. You're a big reason why they're losing. They drafted you with it was a lottery pick, right? It was like a late, like, it was a mid-first or a lottery pick. I mean, come on.
He doesn't play. Beal doesn't play that much.
I just don't get it. I think, to people saying like, oh my God, the Lakers fleeced, the Wizards. I think that's crazy. I guarantee you that, like, I'll bet money on it. Every single one of those second round picks, there will be a player picked at that pick or later that's better than him. Every one of them. So, yeah, like, I'm positive. This guy makes... Like, people don't understand it, because they're like, look, 30 points, 25 points. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's like the efficiency, the defense. He's costing you so much. He's so checked out mentally. He does not pay attention. He doesn't have like that super burst or lateral quickness. He's just his ugh. It's just I don't know. It's a long war that I've been on with yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're at 2 hours. We're gonna call it a night. Always a pleasure to do these. What?
Tyler did get paid though. I'm shocked that I really forgot about that.
Yeah. Kyle Lowry got paid too. You know? I mean, we're talking like 3 years ago, Kyle Lowry is able to get $30+ million. You're telling me OG Anunoby in his prime is not worth 30? You sure about the 26 to 28 still?
I'm not saying
now you're thinking like, oh man, he's gonna be 40, isn't it? Yeah, it might be. With the new CBA, I'm honestly like, by the way, when I say 35, that's a conservative estimate. I legitimately feel like some team is going to outbid themselves and go for 40 if they have the cap space. And by the way, there are a lot of teams under the cap that want him. And there are all these other teams that could get under the cap, even more under the cap.
What's Sabonis going to get then?
So Sabonis is not as portable as him. So you can say he's better.
But Sabonis on the Kings are like, so if OG gonna get 30, then Sabonis gonna get 40.
I think they could probably end up getting the same amount. And you're gonna say that's crazy, and you're gonna say it's not fair because Sabonis is a better player. But defense is a part of winning. Portability is a part of winning. Switchability is a part of winning. Every one of these things is, look, people never understood why Rudy Gobert gets paid $50 million, right? They probably still don't. They probably think he stole money, that he sold, that he, like, whatever. But, okay. But the point here is he still got paid that money. And there's a lot of teams out there that probably would have paid him something close to that, right? Back then. Because he was in his prime. And he single-handedly elevated your defense by 10 spots. I just told you, I think OG elevates your defense by 6 or 7 spots. I think the Raptors are just going to find out that there's such a crazy demand like on the market for their players.
But what's Pascal going to get paid then?
Honestly, that's that. I hope not. The difference with Pascal, A, not as portable. Number 2, not as likable. Not as likable as OG. OG's like loved around the league by everybody. It's different. See, like you got to look at this from the perspective of scouts, right? Scouts, GMs, etc.
I agree with you. I'm just saying. So, like, what's he gonna get paid? This CBA is stupid.
25% of the cap. If he makes All NBA, 35% of the cap, and that cap figure could be insane. So Pascal Siakam on his next contract, like look, there's an article I read on what Fred wants on his next contract.
Fred deserves like 18.
Right, but he has basically said no to 30 almost, right? So
that's why he fired his agent, Parlay Sports. They lost the parlay with him.
That's funny. I honestly think there's a very good chance that you could say Fred wants 40 a year. That's what he's really gunning for. 40 a year. Yeah, he wants like 120 or like 120 3 years or 164 years or 205 years, that type of deal. I'm not saying 205 years. I know there's a report that he wants 130. I think he said 130 instead of 114. But I'm telling you, like if he had like a crazy good year, like he would probably be trying to set the bar at like 150 for 150 for 4 years.
He is drunk.
No, he is totally, and therein lies the question of can he negotiate that type of contract when he's kind of not in his prime anymore, like he's kind of exiting his prime. Number 2, most teams are already set at point, but the league, like most teams are not set at small forward. Notice, right? There's a lot of teams that are kind of like iffy about who their starting small forward is. Consider who are the teams that are iffy about their starting small forward. Does Indiana have like a great small forward? No. Does Cleveland have a great starting small forward? No. Does Miami have a great starting small forward? I mean, you could say Jimmy Butler. Does Philadelphia have a great starting small forward? Especially when you start considering that OG could actually switch.
Jimmy Butler, stop it. Jimmy Butler is special in the playoffs.
Okay, but Jimmy Butler is also 33 years old. So maybe
Jimmy Butler's also top 5 in the playoffs. Like, he is one of the elite players.
still 33, man. By the time OG hits free agency, he'll be 34. They could be
But
looking at him as a guy on his way out and or 2 years away from retiring, given the toll. And don't underestimate how quickly guys like Derrick Rose, guys like Joakim Noah have faded. Taj Gibson, those early minutes in those Tibbs lineups with the Bulls, they do have consequences.
Siakam could get 60? Fuck no.
Who said that?
Alex C. Oh, he said LOL. I'm like, damn, if that boy gets 60, I'm gonna lose my mind.
That's
bro.
the crazy part, right? Like these salaries, like the salaries are irrelevant. In the grander scheme of things, obviously it's the percentage of the cap that matters to me, because Scottie's gonna get a max, right? He's definitely gonna get a max from a marketing perspective, from a talent perspective, all the cachet, etc. He's gonna get a max. If he gets a max and Gary gets 25 to 30 million, right? Which you might think is crazy, but trust me, he's going to get that too. If OG gets 25 to 30 million, maybe 32 million, right? If he's on a team friendly deal, maybe 30, 32. I mean, you really are limited in how much you can pay Pascal without going to luxury tax. And I think that that's been the sort of running debate or running issue among the Raptors faithful or even MLSE, which is, yeah, we'll flirt with the luxury tax for a limited amount of time if you have a real titleship window. Because they have paid luxury tax. They paid luxury tax to the Kawhi team.
I'm
right?
gonna go to sleep tonight depressed, listening
Why?
to these numbers. I'm just like, what are we doing with our lives?
Not
Like,
but I mean, like, how many people are we impacting? Are we, like, you know what I mean? That's just market economics. Come on, like, who am I impacting here? Like, I got like $3 super sticker, $2 super sticker here, talking about $28
bro,
million
you're
range.
impacting people in Japan and Germany, all over the world. Rob, don't sell yourself short, bro.
Okay, but we got 209 people. How many people tuned into the Raptors and Kings tonight, right? I mean, you gotta put this into scale, right? The guy who plays for the local venue does not get the same as the guy who sells out Madison Square Garden. It's just reality. This is just fact. So I've never believed in being a zero-sum thinker. I'm very happy that Scottie's going to get paid a ton of money. I'm very happy Pascal gets paid a ton of money. You know why? Because on the I mean, not even on the low. I've talked about it.
I'm not. It's not that I'm not happy. I'm just saying, at some point, we have to be realistic. If, like, your background's economics, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we able to pay? And this country is in such debt. Like, pay these players this much money though.
Because basketball is not about America anymore. It's global, right? The streaming rights, the TV rights, the jersey sales, merch sales, it's global. So as global populations expand, number one, the growth of this game is insane. Like, it's the fastest growing sport in the world. Number one, because you can actually play it. Huh? No, it's true. It's very much the fastest growing sport in the world because, number one, like, soccer and basketball are like the two sports where you can actually play if you're poor. That's a really important thing to realize, is you don't need all that equipment, curling, tennis. You know how much, like, did you ever play tennis? Were you a tennis player?
Once. No.
Okay, I was a tennis instructor and I played tennis as a kid. My racket cost $220. It cost me like half my week's salary, and as a kid, just to be able to afford that racket. It's expensive. Basketball, $8, $12, $15, Walmart, find a rim, you're good, right? Kids can play basketball in Africa, kids can play basketball in China. I remember a stat, and I don't remember when this stat was accurate, but they said there are more people that play basketball in China than there are people in the United States.
That's nuts.
So that's the growth of the game in a nutshell. With the NBA going for all the streaming stuff, Victor Wembanyama coming into the league, Giannis, like, consider the growth of international stars, right? So just all of these guys are bringing so much of that into the league. The league interest is so high. So yeah, I mean, like, there are people right now, like, consider the impact of the game we just watched, right? There are people in Lithuania that got this game on live television because of Domas. There are people in all over Western Europe, obviously, that got this game. There's people in Asia that are, like, waking up got this game or staying up late or watching this game on delay. There's like probably like 2 million people who are going to stream this game illegally. So it's just like, how many people did you just impact with one game? It's crazy. Like the impact of it is crazy. And when you think about, like, I mean, you and I are YouTubers, right? We're content creators. So we think about it like, consider how much money Mr. Beast makes. It's the same thing. He's making like over $1 million a video. I'm probably never going to make $1 million on YouTube ever, right? But he's clearing $1 million a month, right? Because how many people are watching his videos? How many people are super chatting and all that stuff? So, I mean, maybe you and I will get there someday. You know, like we'll grow this out. But the reality is, like, the basics of economics is simple. It's basically the number of people you provide value to is usually
No, I get it.
the amount of value you get back, right?
It's just hard to, just from like a wow spectacle, I guess, perspective. It's kind of like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
It's really ludicrous.
Charlie is saying Kings broadcast the game in India every time they wear the black jerseys. Why? Oh, right, Vivek Ranadive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, crazy when you think about it. Have you ever been to India? No, I have. It was crazy. I remember watching an Allen. Dude, it's so insane when you go to countries that you don't think basketball exists, like India, Egypt. Like, I mean, obviously basketball is everywhere in Yugoslavia, but and Western Europe, but like Japan. Like, I remember going to a Nike store in Japan and seeing like this gigantic Allen Iverson cutout and seeing a page. You know, I bought my Pedro Stojakovic jersey in Japan. That's the crazy part.
That's
like, this
insane.
world is so freaking connected. So yeah, it's nuts.
How much was it in Japan? Was it more expensive than like market value?
It was more expensive. Yeah, that's the crazy part. It was more expensive. All that shit was more expensive. Pedro Stojakovic jersey. And then the stupid thing is, I washed it, and then the purple on the Kings logo kind of like wiped out a little bit. I don't know like why I washed it like an idiot. I don't know what. Maybe I washed it with bleach or something. But yeah, it's always my big regret, because I definitely could have gotten that jersey signed. Yeah, when he was playing in Toronto. Fun fact for anyone who forgets it: Pedro Stojakovic, ex-Raptor. Do you know how many Kings connections there are for the Raptors? Doug Christie, Jay Triano, Pedro Stojakovic. Who am I? There's way more. Who am I missing? Raptor connection.
Terrence Davis.
Is wait. Yes. Is Leandro Barbosa with you guys?
Yep.
Ex-Raptor. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So many ex-Raptors from such sad and controversial times. But yeah, like, actually Doug Christie was in a really good time. It was the Vince time. But yeah.
Well, that's going to do it, y'all.
Yeah, that's gonna do it. Hiam Dirk says basketball is a part of Filipino blood. Oh my God! If you go to Philippines, wow, basketball is so big in the Philippines. Basketball is so big in Asia. Basketball is so big everywhere.
We actually have on the Stockton Kings coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the best Filipino players ever, like professionally, and now he's one of the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I feel embarrassed to even not remember his name, but he has a family channel on YouTube, and it's massive. He's also a coach, but like the Filipino community is just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's sort of like the market value when you consider, like, if you're drafting, like if you're building a team, right? Having a guy who puts you into those markets.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Jalen Green has not quite been celebrated by the Filipino.
He's
you
going
think
to,
so?
though.
You think so?
I think so.
I remember getting like really pissed off about this, because I was like, hey, why can't you guys celebrate Jordan Clarkson and Jalen Green, because they're Filipino? And then someone said, we need someone who looks like us. So I guess they're being discriminated against for being half black. But I mean, I look at a guy like Victor Wembanyama, and okay, someone says sounds like a radio station. Laugh my ass off. Okay, Dan Vito saying hasn't played in the NBL. My bad, guys. I've watched tape of Wembanyama, full games, not so much. Full league games, not much. So far, I'm very, very early in my Wembanyama scouting. I apologize. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, let's talk next time. The Raptors are done with the Kings this year. We're not meeting in the finals, so we'll do like a Raptors video at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Best
All right,
of luck
guys.
to you guys into the trade deadline. I hope you get what you're looking for. Yeah.
Well, if we get a Raptor, then we definitely got to do a show.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yo, Leo and I were talking over the weekend about all the Raptors stuff. Sorry, this past week about all the Raptors stuff, and he wrote this thing. Don't, bro. I think you said, bro, don't worry, Scottie's not getting traded, something like that, right? And every freaking time I open Facebook, that message pops up, and I see Scottie traded, bro. And I have a heart attack, and then I'm like, don't worry, Scottie knocking. I'm like, because it looks like a new message every time. I don't know if Facebook's glitching or something, but it's like every single time I get a new message from you, bro, don't worry, Scottie's not getting traded. But my brain scans it so quickly, Scottie traded, bro. I'm like, fuck. So yeah, yes.
Okay. Shay's going to the Kings.
I don't even know how Siakam and Van Vliet and OG like stands are handling this right now, because I don't know how I would handle rumors that Scottie was on the block or that Scottie wanted out. I would be very sad. Sincerely, I'd be very sad. Anyway, good win for the Raptors tonight. Not the result some of us were hoping for, and in a weird way, you guys just listened to a win for a team that was trying to lose against a loss against a team that was trying to win. Nobody wins here tonight. Everyone's a loser, but hopefully we had a good discussion about it anyways. Sorry about the rough start to this, but hopefully it made it fun the rest of the way. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one, and peace. Drive home safe. See you, man. Oh, and make sure to hit subscribe on Basketball Zone if you're watching this on Basketball Zone. If you're not watching this on Basketball Zone, you want to support Basketball Zone, definitely go over and check their channel out. Literally, do you want me to just quickly, you know what I'm going to do? Because I just want to quickly type this in I'm going to type it into the chat so that you guys can go and support Basketball Zone as well. Just go give them a follow here. All right. And Basketball Zone is on, you can get it on a podcast as well, so you can probably listen to it. Here you go. So just wrote it into the chat. Definitely go check that out. And to everyone who called today, Tamberlin, obviously thanks to Leo for doing this. Thanks to all of you for checking it out. And make sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.